Hokage Unlimited enhancement every 60 days, Chapter 21-40. 021 Cut, 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 cut. Frequent displacement, in order to create an attack gap. When Gaara's eyes could no longer capture Ryuya's movement, Ryuya made a decisive move. Draw the sword and strengthen plus 86400, the crescent-shaped sword energy with a diameter of 3 meters, from all directions, tearing the air, whistling straight to Gaara. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Gaara's terrified eyes widened when he sensed that several sword energies were almost indiscriminately attacking. Boom. The next moment, the competition venue instantly collapsed and turned into a sea of sand. At the same time, countless sands flew up, forming a barrier to block the slash of sword energy. Scoff. Laugh. But unfortunately, under the sharp sword energy, these thick sand walls were like fragile thin paper, which were chopped to pieces in an instant. At the same time, the sword energy was inexhaustible, still slashing towards Gaara in the middle. I love Luo. Seeing this scene, Temari and Kankuro in the stands couldn't help shouting worriedly. Gaara, who is regarded as a monster, is their brother after all. When you see that he is in danger, as a sister and brother, how can you not worry? Boom. The next moment, the sword chi arrived almost at the same time, met and collided in the center, making a loud roar, and at the same time aroused countless sand, gravel and dust. Quote. For a time, everyone's expressions froze, and their eyes stared at the field without blinking. Such a strong and stern attack, are you sure it is not a battle between the Junin, but a Chunin exam? At the same time, everyone eagerly wanted to know whether the attack just now had killed Gaara. This is. The heavy gravel fell quickly, and when they saw the scene on the field, everyone exclaimed again. I saw a piece of sand suspended in the air, like a cloud, and Gaara was half kneeling on top of that piece of sand. At the moment when the slash arrived, Gaara, who was unable to resist, held himself up in the air with sand, and managed to dodge this dangerous wave of attacks. As expected of Gaara. Looking at Gaara in midair, even Long couldn't help but sigh in admiration. And at this time, Gaara's evaluation of Long Yi is more than a simple admiration. Rustle, sand. The next moment, Gaara slowly fell back to the ground, and at the same time, countless sands gathered towards him, wrapping him layer by layer. This is. When Gaara fell to the ground again, he was completely covered in sand, forming a huge sand ball. Everyone was startled again, the so-called Gaara of sand waterfall actually hid. Unable to resist Ryuya's slash, Gaara, who was insecure, chose to protect himself in this way. Of course, he is not simply hiding. In the sand ball, he can still manipulate the sand to attack. Under absolute defense, he considered himself invincible. Cut. In this regard, the dragon did not have any nonsense, and slashed it directly. Scoff. The sword chi cut into the sand ball more than 10 centimeters, but it finally collapsed. These are not ordinary sands, they are chakra-soaked by Gaara day and night, and the hardness is extremely high. If you can't cut the sand ball, you can't hurt the Gaara inside. How can this be done? Seeing this, everyone on the scene, whether they were ordinary civilians or ninjas, couldn't help but frown, which made the dragon fight. In fact, Long also did not give up after a failed move. The right hand held the handle of the knife again, maintaining the ready posture of drawing the knife, but this time, it did not cut out directly, but made a series of shouts with a solemn expression. This is. Everyone was dumbfounded for a moment. What did Long also want to do? If you can't cut Gaara, use your aura to frighten him. Just under everyone's attention, the dragon also kept this posture and kept screaming in his mouth. But other than that, no one moves anything else. This time, not only other people, but also the third generation of Hokage, who is known as the Ninja Professor, is dumbfounded. Which song is this singing? He is familiar with all kinds of ninjutsu, and there is no shortage of sonic ones, but there is no such thing. It should be almost there. After more than 10 minutes, Long also thought about it in his heart. After accumulating power for such a long time, it should be able to split this sandball. Accumulating power can increase the power of slashing, but how much and what proportion to increase, Long also has no idea. Cut. All in all, cut his mother's knife first. The next moment, as Long Yi shouted loudly, a sword was cut out. Laugh. The next moment, I saw a sword chi, with a diameter of more than 10 meters, wrapped in a gust of wind, deeply plowed across the ground, and instantly swung out from Long Yi's blade. Boom. The next moment, the sword energy of more than 10 meters hit the sandball, and with a loud noise that pierced the eyes and ears, it directly divided the sandball into two. Quote. Seeing this scene, everyone on the scene, whether civilians or ninjas, were all dumbfounded. Gaara's absolute defense was cut off abruptly. Ah! At this moment, before everyone could recover, a hysterical roar suddenly came from the sandball that was divided into two, as if full of anger and panic. It's Gaara. Gaara didn't even die. Could it be that his position just now wasn't in the center? What is that? At the same time, a few sharp-eyed spectators seemed to see a terrifying monster from the gap where the sandball was cut open. Has it completely become possessed? In the audience, Konkuro, who knew the inside story, looked terrified. I don't know, he seems to be injured, it's never happened before and no one knows what will happen to him. Temari's face was also solemn, and he had already prepared for the worst in his heart. Damn, he's so messed up. As the leader of the team, Maki scolded in his heart, Gaara's loss of control will likely ruin this plan. At the same time, some ninjas who were good at perception felt a very disturbing chakra faintly from the split sandball. What happened inside? For a time, everyone stared at the sandball without blinking, and their faces were nervous. Whoa, whoa. After a while, the sandball slowly disintegrated, and Gaara's figure was revealed from inside. Obviously, Gaara just now was not in the middle of the sandball, or he avoided it at the critical moment. That's why Long Yi didn't cut him in half with the knife just now. But even so, he cut Gaara and covered his shoulder with his hand, and blood continued to flow out. Success. Seeing the injured Gaara, Long was also relieved in an instant. He had already done everything he had to do. Whether it can pull back the deviated plot line, then it can only be left to fate. 022 The attack begins. A leaf suddenly fell on the field. Call. The next moment, a whirlwind suddenly erupted on the field, which was mixed with countless leaves. And when the wind dissipated, two figures appeared. It was Kakashi and Sasuke. Sorry. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said with a smile. We are late. Who is coming? With a smile on the corner of Chinbin's mouth, Shiranui Genma asked a question in cooperation. Uchiha. Sasuke was expressionless and called out his name coldly. Sasuke. Sasuke. It's Sasuke. Seeing Sasuke finally appearing, the venue was excited for a while. After all, before the game started, as the orphan of the Uchiha family, he was the most popular and the most anticipated character. Ah, so what? But then, everyone suddenly thought, what if Sasuke came? Recalling the battle of Ryuya just now, even the boy with Uchiha bloodline instantly became dull. The way we came out seemed too flashy. I know it's doing this on purpose, obviously. Kakashi smiled, seemingly embarrassed. But Sasuke, shouldn't he be disqualified from the competition? Don't worry, Sasuke's game has been postponed. Haha, that's great. Kakashi laughed twice, but in fact, he had expected this for a long time, otherwise they would not have dared to be late anyway. But Sasuke's opponent. Just when Kakashi was complacent, Genma Shiranui added another sentence. Taken away by someone else. Ah. Kakashi, who was proud just now, stumbled instantly, and at this time, he saw the situation on the field clearly. Takagi Ryuya vs. Gaara. It turned out that Sasuke's opponent was taken away by Ryuya. Judging from the extent of the damage at the venue, the two sides may have fought a big battle. This is. Immediately afterwards, Kakashi saw Gaara, who was injured and out of control, and was shocked again. Could it be that Ryuya won? How is this possible? His opponent is Gaara. Even if Sasuke was given special training, he didn't hesitate to be late for the game. In fact, Kakashi didn't have full confidence that Sasuke could defeat Gaara. But just such a monster was even defeated by the dragon. Kakashi has also heard a bit about Ryuya. After all, he also brought this class of students, the tail of the crane that was side by side with Naruto. As the tail end of the crane so full of surprises. Thinking of Naruto, and looking at Ryuya in front of him, Kakashi shook his head with a helpless smile. Looking at Sasuke again, although he didn't speak, his gloomy face was obviously extremely unhappy. He practiced hard for a month in order to defeat Gaara. But now, someone told him that his opponent was taken away. The most important thing is that the one who stole his opponent was the same chrysanthemum that once exploded him, the abominable tail of the crane. There were originally 2 crane tails in the class. For Naruto, he had already recognized it, but Long Yi, he would never forgive him. At this moment, countless feathers suddenly appeared in the venue, scattered all over the auditorium. And among the fluttering feathers, the audience fell one by one and fell into a deep sleep. This is illusion. Konoha Junin in the stands, or Kakashi, Genma Shiranui and others off the field, their expressions changed instantly. Solution. Immediately after that, he performed ninjutsu and bounced off the illusion. Still, it started. When Long Yi saw this scene, his face sank, and he said something silently in his heart. Hong. At this moment, shockingly, a cloud of smoke erupted from the summit stage, which also changed. The 2 guards next to Feng Ying suddenly attacked. Whoosh whoosh. Anbu, who was in charge of the guards, had been paying close attention to the scene and immediately launched operations. A total of 2 groups of Anbu, one rushes to the K's shadow guard, and the other protects the leaders of other countries. Scoff. Laugh. A brief contact in midair instantly slashed Kage's 2 guards in half. But what people didn't expect was that the 2 people who were beheaded turned into 4 people. It turned out to be through disguise, 2 or 2 hiding in a piece of clothing. After the 4 of them appeared, they fell to the roof ridge above the summit platform, and each stood at a corner. And looking at it again at this time, at the same time as the smoke burst out, Kage actually hijacked Hokage, and was already standing in the middle of the roof. 4 purple flame formation. As the 4 formed seals at the same time, a layer of enchantment rose, trapping Hokage inside. A member of Anbu who rushed up, caught off guard and touched the barrier, and his body was immediately burned by the flames. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, the sound of shinobi, who was lurking in Konoha, has all appeared and started to attack the inside of the venue. The Konoha ninja, who was the audience at the scene, also immediately launched a counterattack. Tread, tread, tread. At this time, Maki, Temari, Kankuro, and the 3 sand shinobi fell off the field, first protecting Gaara. Operation aborted. Take Gaara away temporarily. After checking, it was determined that Gaara was out of control and could not fight for the time being. Maki gave a gloomy face and gave an order. Temari and Kankuro nodded, and the 2 set up Gaara, jumped out of the venue, and fled outside the village. Maki, on the other hand, stayed where he was, with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Sorry, the exam is over. At this time, Genma Shiranui, who was the referee, said something to Long also, and then rushed straight to Maki. Damn. Sasuke, who had just debuted, encountered such a sudden situation before he could take action, and he couldn't help but look annoyed. Whoosh. The next moment, no matter how many, he jumped up and went after Gaara. Gaara is his opponent, and he will never allow others to take it away. With Genma blocking Maki, Kakashi, who also immediately joined the battle, pulled away to deal with the other nebula. After rescuing Sakura, he told her to wake up Naruto, together with Parker, the ninja dog he had channeled out of, to chase after Sasuke, and the task was to bring Sasuke back. Take this guy. At this time, the dragon also suddenly appeared, dragging Shikamaru, who was still pretending to be asleep for fear of trouble. Good. Kakashi glanced at Shikamaru and nodded. Excellent. Watching Sakura, Naruto, Shikamaru, and Parker go to chase after Sasuke, Ryu also breathed a sigh of relief. The plot has been pulled back, and if there is no accident, they should be safe. 3 Hokage. Immediately afterwards, Long also looked at the 3 generations of Hokage trapped in the enchantment, and couldn't help frowning again. If everything is really like the original, in this battle, the 3 generations of Hokage will die heroically. 0234 Purple Flames. 4 Purple Flame Formation, a form of spirit ninjutsu, requires 4 people to activate. From the top and bottom, the space is completely closed. The enchantment is not only sturdy, but also has purple flames. If people touch it, they will be burned to death immediately. In the face of this kind of enchantment, it is generally only possible to defeat the caster from the inside. But at this time, it was the 4th of the 5 Yin-Ren who used the 4 Purple Flame Formation, with a special physique. They cast a layer of enchantment from the inside, making it difficult for the trapped 3 generations of Hokage to attack them. What's more, with the 3 generations of Hokage, there is also Orochimaru disguised as Kazekage. Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, is also a disciple of the 3 generations of Hokage. If it was more than 10 years ago, the 3 generations could defeat Orochimaru. But now, as his physical strength declines with age, he is probably no longer a match for Orochimaru. The reincarnation of Dirty Earth. Moreover, Orochimaru used the forbidden technique to summon the 1st and 2nd Hokage to this world. The next moment, under the control of Orochimaru, the 1st generation and the 2nd generation began to attack the 3rd generation. We'll just have to wait. Outside the barrier, looking at the 3 generations of Hokage and the 3 Anbu members who were in an extremely dangerous situation, there was nothing they could do. They can't break through the barrier from the outside, and all they can expect now is that the 3 generations of Hokage will open the barrier inside, and they will help immediately. 4 Purple Flame Formation. At this time, in the chaos of the venue, with the enhanced version of the Avatar technique, Ryuya, who was attacked by Tonin and Sand Nin, kept flashing past. Looking at Zhangqi's enchantment, he couldn't help thinking. Enhanced version of the substitute technique, even if it is strengthened 86,400 times, is still a substitute technique in essence. The so-called teleportation is just a high-speed movement, not a real shuttle. Therefore, if the substitute technique is used, the dragon cannot directly reach the inside of the enchantment. No matter how fast he is, he will still hit the enchantment and be burned to death. However, he still has 86,400 swordsmanship and strengthening. With the potential to sever the world, as long as the charging time is enough, it can completely sever this enchantment. Thus rescued the 3 generations of Hokage. No. But in this way, the following plot is bound to change. Moreover, as Hokage, the scenes of the 3 generations are far from comparable to the wind, and the plot is likely to be greatly changed. As a traverser, only in a familiar plot can you gain greater benefits. Long also fought against Gaara, and tried his best to hurt him, in order to pull back the plot line of the original work. The 3 generations of Hokage have high prestige in the village, and as a Hokage fan, Ryu also likes this kind and tough old man very much. But now, he is in the dangerous world of the ninja world, and he must put interests first in everything and cannot be emotional. Save. But after some thought, Long also suddenly made a decision to save the 3 generations of Hokage. Whoosh. The next moment, after a few jumps, they came directly outside the barrier, in front of the three Anbu. I can cut through this barrier. Without further ado, let's get straight to the point. But I need time and I can't be disturbed during the time I'm preparing. You. The three Anbu couldn't help but be startled, and then they couldn't help thinking that the sword that dragon also cut open the Gaara sandball. Instantly shocked, without any hesitation, he said firmly. Leave your back to us and make sure not a single fly is in it. Snapped. No doubt about Anbu, Long also took the posture of drawing the sword and slashing, holding the handle of the sword in his right hand, and then began to charge. Ah, 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 ah. Disperse. At the same time, the three Anbu exchanged glances, and immediately spread out, forming a triangle, protecting the dragon in the middle. What is he doing? In the venue, Kakashi, who was fighting against many sound ninjas, saw this scene and couldn't help but ask. Maybe we don't have to worry about Sandemu anymore. Akai glanced at it, and was instantly surprised. Kakashi was not there when Dragon was also playing against Gaara, but Akai saw the whole process clearly. Based on his experience, he had already guessed that the dragon also increased the power of the slash through the constant, so that it finally split Gaara's sandball. Although he still can't figure it out, what is the connection between the power of ninjutsu and, aha? But then again, Long also exploded Xiaonan Chrysanthemum before, and Akai still hasn't figured out the principle of the 1,000-year-old kill. In any case, Akai, who has already called the dragon a miracle boy, may also be able to break the barrier. Long Yi is still accumulating strength, and at this time, in the venue, as well as in Konoha village, and Naruto outside the village, they are all acting independently. Compared with the original book, Konoha was actually more prepared because Long also rescued the wind and reported the information in time. The instant the attack took place, someone was in charge of quickly transferring civilians and children to shelters under Shadow Rock. At the same time, a large number of ninjas are in charge of various places and carry out targeted defense. And the Hinata clan, the Nara clan, the Oil Girl clan, etc., many famous Konoha families, and a large number of elite ninjas, are responsible for the counterattack. In the face of the joint attack of Yin Nin and Sand Nin, although the scene was chaotic at this time, everything was still under control. Old man, you have to hold on. What's more, at this time in the village, there is also a lecherous immortal Jiraiya who is also one of the three ninjas. In the venue, the dragon was still accumulating energy. Bang bang bang. And the three Anbu, as said before, guarded around him and did not let an enemy pass by. Although the dragon was not disturbed, the situation of the three generations of Hokage in the enchantment has become more and more dangerous. After all, the three generations are getting older, and their physical strength is not as good as before. Not yet. Looking at Ryuya who was still accumulating power, the three Anbu secretly became anxious. But he didn't dare to ask, for fear of disturbing Long Yi. It should be almost. Wait a minute. As I said before, although accumulating power can increase the power of slashing, the dragon has no idea how much it can increase. If he slashes out with this knife and fails to sever the barrier, he may not have time to recharge. Instead of doing this, it's better to build up your strength for a while. If you don't make a move, it's okay, and if you make a move, it's foolproof. Shadow Clone Technique. After another period of time, the battle in the enchantment has heated up, and the three generations of Hokage suddenly split into two shadow clones. The three generations are already weak in physical strength. If they are divided into three parts, they will naturally be at a disadvantage. Seeing this scene, even the three Anbu looked puzzled and anxious. Is time. But Long also knew that the three generations of Hokage would use his own life to seal the filth and reincarnate into the first and second Hokage, and Orochimaru. Cut. If you don't make a move at this time, when you wait, the dragon also shouts loudly, and the long sword is unsheathed. 024 The power of a knife is so terrifying. Rescue the 3 generations of Hokage. It is very likely that the plot will be greatly changed, thus detaching from the control of the dragon, and losing the advantage of foresight. But just imagine, the arrival of Long Yi and the hurricane he saved were not all changes to the plot. A butterfly in the Amazon rainforest of South America, with the occasional flap of its wings, could cause a tornado in Texas 2 weeks from now. The butterfly effect, although small at the moment, is bound to get bigger and bigger over time. In other words, sooner or later the plot will be out of control. That being the case, clinging to pulling back the plot is ultimately futile. It is better to take advantage of the present to build more advantages and strengthen yourself. For example, save the 3 generations of Hokage and completely hug this thick leg. Cut. Long Yi's eyes were firm, and with a loud shout, the long sword was unsheathed and slashed, all in one go. Laugh. The next moment, a huge sword chi with a length of 200 or 300 meters, wrapped in the might of thunder, slashed straight towards the 4 purple flame array. Because the sword chi was so powerful, the sound of cutting the air made everyone's eardrums hurt. For a time, everyone subconsciously stopped and looked at the sound. Boom. Immediately afterwards, I saw that the sword chi first slashed to the summit platform, and the magnificent summit platform, like a piece of tofu, was instantly cut from the middle. This is. The next moment, the sword energy was inexhaustible, and it cut straight to the 4 purple flame formation. Scoff. Solid and with flames, the 4 purple flame formation, which is said to be indestructible from the outside, was instantly cut in half under the huge sword energy, just like the unfortunate summit platform. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Long Yi's sword was actually aimed at Orochimaru in the formation. But seeing the sword chi attacking him, Orochimaru's complexion changed drastically in an instant, and he hurriedly jumped to dodge. Boom, boom. The sword chi that was evaded by Orochimaru continued to move forward rapidly. With a series of deafening loud noises, all the buildings along the way were divided into 2. It wasn't until a moment later that the sword chi flew out for several miles before it suddenly collapsed. And looking at it again at this time, the entire Konoha hidden village, like a piece of cake, was neatly cut from the middle. In addition, the post-war statistics of losses, the damage caused by Long Yi's sword, surpassed the combined force of Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja. The power of a knife is so terrifying. No wonder he can take Sasuke's opponent. No wonder he can defeat that monster. Seeing this scene, Copy Ninja Kakashi muttered to himself, and instantly relieved. As expected of the boy I liked. This is youth. Konoha's blue beast, Akai, also stretched out a thumb at Yao Changlong. Careless. As a spy, Yao Shido was still hiding in the dark at this time, and he couldn't help but blame himself for not discovering such a threatening target before. Lord Hokage. On the other hand, at the moment when the 4 purple flame formation was cut open, the 3 Anbu members had already come to the 3rd Hokage to protect him while waiting to be shown. Damn brat. Just one last point, you can kill the 3 generations of Hokage. But because of Long Yi's sword, it ultimately fell short. Orochimaru's icy pupils stared at Long Yi with resentment. Then he took a deep breath and commanded his subordinates. The operation is over, let's go back. Yes. The group of 4 protected Orochimaru and immediately fled outside the village. Don't try to escape. Anbu immediately pursued, but unfortunately, was blocked by the opponent's strange ninjutsu. Little devil, I will come back to find you. When Orochimaru left, he looked down at Long Yi and said something with a sneer. Quote. Although his voice was small, Long Yi, who had radar ears, could hear it clearly, and then he couldn't help frowning. Being targeted by this poisonous snake will cause trouble in the future. Orochimaru has retreated and signaled the end of the operation. Yao Shido, other Yin Nin, and Sand Nin also began to find ways to evacuate and escape. Of course, most of them cannot be safely evacuated from Konoha. At the same time, outside Konoha village, there was a loud noise, and then it returned to calm. It is not difficult to guess that the battle between Naruto and the others has ended. If nothing else, it should be the same as the original. Naruto finally defeated the one-tailed Gaara. It's over. Looking at the dilapidated venue and the corpses everywhere, Long also let out a long sigh of relief. This crisis has finally passed. After a few hours, the battle came to an end. Next comes the aftermath, such as repairing damaged buildings, treating the wounded, and taking the dead. 2 days later, Konoha held a mass funeral to mourn the ninjas who died in this battle. Although it was well prepared, it was a war after all, and many ninjas fell forever. The weather was gloomy, and it soon started to rain. In front of the memorial monument, everyone put on black mourning clothes and observed a moment of silence for the deceased. Quote. I have seen this scene in the anime. At that time, Long Yi was quite sad because of the death of the third generation. But now, although the 3 generations did not die, many ninjas still died in battle. Although Long didn't even know these people, when he came to this world, as a ninja, his mood at this time was far heavier than when he was in front of the computer screen. Until this time, Long also realized the cruelty of this world. The real ninja world is not a hot-blooded anime mixed with humor, but a cruel world where death is always accompanied by death, and everyone has a deep pain and continues to move forward. Get stronger. Must get stronger. Only get stronger. Thinking of this, Long also forcibly cheered up. Although the plot has changed, many things are destined to happen. Such as Pain's attack, such as the Fourth Ninja World War. In the face of such a difficult and dangerous future, the dragon has no other way. Only by constantly becoming stronger, until he becomes the strongest, can he protect himself, his family, his companions and friends. Once again, with firm belief, Long also worked harder. After the funeral, change out of mourning clothes and start practicing immediately. He has a system in hand, but it is because of this that he needs to learn more and stronger skills. In fact, others, like the dragon, grew up in pain. Immediately after the funeral, he devoted himself to the reconstruction of the village and his own cultivation. In just a few days, Konoha village was full of vitality again, and it didn't look like it had just experienced a war. At the same time, the names of the 2 heroes also spread throughout Konoha, and then spread to the world. One is Naruto Uzumaki, who is persevering, working hard for his companions, defeating Gaara, and avoiding the ravages of tailed beasts. One is to smash through the 4 purple flame formations and save the 3 generations of Hokage. 025 advanced to Chunin. Everything returned to normal, and a few days later, after discussions with the top management of Konoha, the results of the Chunin exam were officially released. Although there was an accident in the middle, the exam was basically completed, so it was determined that the exam was still valid. Based on the performance of all the candidates, Konoha executives believed that a total of 2 people met the requirements for promotion to Chunin. One is Nara Shikamaru. Whether it is the qualifiers against Neoninjin or the official match against Sand Shinobi Tamari, Shikamaru's calm analysis and layout, and his coordination and leadership skills show that he has the potential to become an excellent captain. You can advance to Chunin. In addition to Shikamaru, another promotion is Takagi Ryuya. With the amazing use of the avatar technique and the amazing knife, with his powerful fighting ability, Long Yi is already a powerful ninja who can stand on his own, and he deserves to be promoted to Chunin. Congratulations Long Yi. After the promotion, Long also changed into the green vest of the Chunin, and the whole person seemed much more energetic. After learning the news, the 9th class specially found a barbecue shop to celebrate with him. Open black lens bracket Takagi Ryuya close black lens bracket. Rank, Chunin. Organ, ear. Skills, Clone Jutsu E-level Ninjutsu, Toad Oil Bomb C-level Ninjutsu. Millennium Kill Strengthen plus 86,400 E-level Physical Skills. Substitute Jutsu Strengthen plus 86400 E-class Ninjutsu. Draw Sword and Strengthen plus 86400 E-level Physical Art. At the same time, looking at the personal panel, the level inside has changed to Chunin. In addition, like the technique of the fireball, the Toad Oil Bomb is also AC level ninjutsu. But the difference is that the fireball technique is used to face the enemy, while the Toad Oil Bomb focuses on the conversion of chakra to oil. Therefore, although each time you cast a spell, you can only spray a little, but the Toad Oil Bomb is already mastered, so it appears in the skill list. By the way, Long Yi, what are your plans for your next cultivation and what are your priorities? As an instructor and a visitor, Hayate asked a question. As a ninja, after leveling up, in addition to taking higher level tasks, you can also learn the corresponding ninjutsu. As a Chunin, the village will provide some C-level ninjutsu learning. There are more ninjas to choose from, and more ninjas are available. At this time, ninjas tend to focus on something. It is also for this reason that, compared to the stereotype genin, Chunin already has its own areas of expertise. What's the point? Just pick the simple ones and practice first. Long also smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly. The technique of the fireball is also C rank. It has been half a year, and he has not learned it yet. Boom, boom, bang. A few days later, Long also received a physical technique that Chunin could learn from the village and began to practice. Compared with ninjutsu, taijutsu does not require seals, and the flow of chakra is simpler, so it is easier to learn. Although it is taijutsu, its reputation does not need to be a little bit of ninjutsu. It is the common skills of Akai and Shaoli, and it is also the signature move of Konoha Fluid Technique, Konoha Whirlwind. Konoha Whirlwind, AC level physical technique, with a whirlwind-like leg attack, extremely fast and powerful destructive power. Noba Whirlwind. Next, in the absence of tasks, the dragon also began to practice continuously. In such a flash, it was another half a month. It's time. 60 days since the last time he strengthened Draw Sword, and Long also got another chance to strengthen infinitely. Enhanced Toad Bombs. Without even thinking about it, I gave the order directly. After all, there were only 2 skills left in his skill list at this time. And the Toad Oil Bomb, as AC level ninjutsu, is of course the first choice. Unlimited enhancement begins. Target. Skill, Toad Oil Bomb. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Toad Oil Bomb enhancement +1 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Toad Oil Bomb enhancement +2 close black lens bracket. ... Toad Oil Bomb enhanced +10, viscosity increased. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Toad Oil Bomb enhancement +11 close black lens bracket. ... Toad Oil Bomb enhanced +100, storage upper limit increased. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Toad Oil Bomb enhanced +101 close black lens bracket. ... The system prompts sounded one after another, and the dragon also habitually blocked, and continued to practice the Konoha Whirlwind. Dragon 2. This morning, Long also practiced at the side of the village as usual, and with a shout, Naruto ran over. With Naruto, there was Jiraiya, but he didn't come. Do you want to leave the village? Seeing Naruto carrying a backpack, Long couldn't help but ask. Naruto nodded and said with a grin. Go find a mother-in-law with the lecherous fairy. Is that so? Long also nodded, already clear in his heart. They were looking for Tsunade, of course. In the original work, after the death of the 3 generations of Hokage, Konoha urgently needs a new Hokage to preside over the overall situation. It was decided through high-level deliberation that Jiraiya will serve as the 5th Hokage. But Zilla is also sloppy by nature and is not willing to take over. In exchange, he is willing to find Tsunade, who is also one of the 3 ninjas and has been away all year round, to serve as the 5th Hokage. When Jiraiya was leaving, he took Naruto, took him as a disciple, and taught him spiral pills on the road. Later, Spiral Maru became Naruto's signature ninjutsu and defeated one strong enemy after another. In this world, because of Ryuya, the 3 generations of Hokage have not sacrificed. But in the same way, when fighting against Orochimaru, the weakness of the 3 generations of Hokages aging has become more and more obvious. Therefore, the 3 generations of Hokage took the initiative to propose, and the high-level Konoha recognized, and the new Hokage was elected as soon as possible. In fact, the position of Hokage has already been passed to the 4th generation. Because of the accidental sacrifice of the 4th generation, the 3rd generation had to re-emerge and temporarily replaced it for more than 10 years. Since Hokage is still selected, the candidates are naturally still those. So just like the original, Jiraiya also took Naruto on his way to find Tsunade. Be careful. If there is no accident, Naruto and the others will encounter Orochimaru again, and there will be a war between the 3 ninjas, and Long can't help but remind. Naruto nodded, waved goodbye to Ryuya, and ran back to Jiraiya. Spiral pills. Watching Naruto and Jiraiya leave, Long also envied. But he knew in his heart that Spiral Pill was a relic of the 4th Hokage, and it was impossible for him to pass it on to outsiders. So he was destined to miss this ride. Besides, as a grade A ninjutsu, he is afraid that he will not be able to learn it without 3 years and 5 years, just by virtue of Long Yi's aptitude. Of course, what makes Long Yi envy the most is that Naruto can worship Jiraiya as a teacher. The guidance of a good teacher is too important and rare. Noble Whirlwind. Rather than envy others, it is better to work hard on your own. Long no longer thinks too much, and continues to practice Konoha Whirlwind. The sun rose overhead, then slowly set in the west. Before you knew it was already dusk. Lord Hokage looking for me. Long Yi, who was about to go home after cultivating for a day, suddenly received a summons, and the 3 generations of Hokage summoned him. 026 Apprentice Hokage. What? Why, don't you want to? No, I'm just surprised. Long Yi hurriedly waved his hand, looking at the 3 generations of Hokage with a kind smile on his face. Just like an ordinary kind elder, Long Yi still couldn't believe that the 3 generations of Hokage wanted to accept him as a disciple. Not only because the dragon also saved him, but more importantly, because of the dragon's performance in the Chunin exam. The lowest level substitute technique could be used to such an extent that he couldn't help but love talents. The 3 generations of Hokage have taught many students in their lifetimes, but their direct disciples are only Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, who are now the world-famous Sannin. But Orochimaru has gone the wrong way, and he is rambunctious, and Tsunade is addicted to gambling. The 3 people are full of pornography, gambling, and poison. No one can fully inherit his mantle, which makes the 3 generations very depressed. Moreover, with his understanding of Orochimaru, who has a dark heart, is absolutely impossible to let Long Yi go. It is also the responsibility of the 3 generations to accept the dragon as a disciple, to teach and cultivate until he can fight against Orochimaru. Therefore, the 3 generations finally decided to accept the dragon as a disciple. The disciples meet the master. Immediately after returning to his senses, Long also hurriedly saluted, as if he was afraid that the 3rd generation would go back on his words. This is the 3rd generation of Naruto. Even if you don't mention his identity, he has all attributes of chakra. He is known as a ninja professor who is proficient in all kinds of ninjutsu, and his strength is also at the top of the ninja world. Moreover, the 3 generations of Hokage are extremely good at cultivating disciples, and 1 or 2 can be known from Sannin. Of course, character doesn't count, only strength is mentioned here. To be able to worship the 3 generations of Hokage as a teacher is simply a great thing. How could Long also refuse? Speaking of which, before saving the 3 generations of Hokage, it was also to hold this thigh, and now this is a complete hold. I really didn't expect. Just now, Long Yi was still jealous of Naruto, and he was able to apprentice to Zillai. Now, he actually worships the 3 generations of Hokage as his teacher. Long couldn't help laughing to himself. Jiraiya was also a 3rd-generation apprentice. When it came to him, Naruto wanted to call him Shishu. If it is discussed from the 4 generations of Hokage, it is even more interesting. Naruto wants to call him Grandpa Shi. Oh, good. There are 3 generations of Hokage here, but I didn't think so much. Looking at the well-behaved Long Yi, I like it more and more in my heart. At the current age of the 3rd generation, I am afraid that he will not accept other apprentices in this life, and Long is also his close disciple. My son and grandson, that's very distressing. It was getting late, and it was too late to teach Ryuya ninjutsu today, but you could check your body first. Regarding the information about Long Yi, the 3 generations of Hokage have already learned in detail. During the ninja school, the grades belong to the tail of the crane. During the ninja, although the performance is good, it is also low-level ninjutsu. It can be seen that Long Yi's aptitude is not good. Therefore, before instructing, the 3 generations of Hokage must first examine Ryuya's body to find out his crux. So it is. After using special ninjutsu, after some inspection, the 3 generations of Hokage couldn't help but sigh. The practice of ninja is actually the manufacture and use of chakra. The source of chakra, one is the body energy condensed from the 130 trillion cells of the human body, one by one, the other is the spiritual energy that has been tempered and tempered. Dragon also has average physical energy, but his mental energy far exceeds that of ordinary people. A boy of 12 or 13 years old has such a tenacious spirit, which is far beyond the expectations of 3 generations. The number of chakras in Long Yi's body, as a chunin, has far exceeded the average level. So in the manufacture of chakra, there is no problem with dragons. His problem is the use of chakra. Using chakra as energy to perform ninjutsu requires going through a specific route, that is, the meridians throughout the body. The soft fist acupuncture of the Hyuga family uses a special technique to intercept the meridians through observation through the eyes, so as to achieve the effect of preventing the flow of chakra. The meridians in Long Yi's body are not only narrow, but also deformed to varying degrees. This is a congenital defect, just like a stunted limb. Meridians. After listening to the 3 generations of Hokage, Long couldn't help frowning. It turned out that his problem was here. At the same time, I can't help but wonder whether the meridians are considered organs or not. According to biology, should they belong to a system where multiple organs cooperate? If so, can it be strengthened through the system? But even taking a step back, the system can strengthen the meridians. Long Yi's meridians are deformed. Once the system is strengthened, will it become more biased? Don't be too disappointed. Seeing that the dragon didn't speak, and thought it was a blow, the 3 generations of Hokage said. Actually, it's not completely impossible. Can be cured. Long also widened his eyes instantly, looking at the 3 generations of Hokage excitedly. If you want to cure it all at once, even the strongest medical ninja Tsunade today can't do it. Sandai looked serious, then took out a small pill from the drawer and said with a smile. But our Sarutobi family's secret medicine is somewhat helpful for this disease. Secret medicine. Looking at the small pill in the hands of the 3rd Hokage, Longyu looked puzzled. The Sarutobi family, as one of the famous Konoha families, was able to gain a firm foothold mainly because of their full attribute chakra. But in fact, the full attribute chakra of the Sarutobi clan is not obtained from blood, but cultivated through medicine. Coincidentally, this drug that stimulates the properties of chakra also has a certain expansion and correction effect on the meridians. Great teacher. After listening to the 3 generations of Hokage, Long was also excited again. However, given the severity of your problem, it will take at least 10 years to completely correct it. To prevent the dragon from also expecting too much, the 3 generations of Hokage explained in advance. It doesn't matter even 20 years. Long also nodded, not the slightest frustration. As long as he takes the medicine, his meridians can be corrected little by little. As long as the meridians are gradually corrected, the speed of his ninjutsu practice will gradually increase. As long as there is improvement, Long has confidence in how long it will take. After finishing speaking, the 3 generations of Hokage first gave the pill to Long Yi. No feeling. Long also took it immediately, and there was nothing unusual in his body. Then I couldn't help laughing. Yes, this is not an elixir in fantasy novels, how can I react? According to what the 3rd generation said, the dragon should continue to take this secret medicine, 1 tablet per month. Immediately afterwards, the 3rd generation explained to Long Yi, who usually practiced by himself. But once he has free time, he will come to him for guidance. Thank you, teacher. As Hokage, he is usually busy with affairs, that is to say, the 3 generations of Hokage took out the precious rest time to teach him, and the dragon was also grateful. Next, with nothing else, Long also said goodbye and left. Open black lens bracket. This reinforcement is over. Close black lens bracket. The next morning, the system prompt sounded, and the toad bomb was strengthened. 027 The figure of dawn. Open the system and check the specific effect. First, stickiness. Toad oil was originally extremely viscous. After being strengthened by the system, this feature was improved to the extreme. Unless you use a substance that specifically restrains oiliness, you can't get rid of it by physical means alone. Second, combustion performance. Toad oil can be burned, and the energy contained far exceeds that of ordinary oils. After the system is strengthened, this feature is also improved to the extreme. A drop of oil can burn for several years. Third, the storage limit. According to the normal size of the toad oil bomb, the dragon will also store the amount of its own equipment, at most 2 times. After the system is strengthened, the upper limit disappears. As long as the dragon is also made, no matter how much, it can be stored, even if it is an ocean of toad oil. Fourth, release the upper limit. No matter how much toad oil, a dragon can spit it out in 1 mouthful. That is to say, even if the dragon really stores a sea of oil, it can be released instantly. As expected of a C-level skill. After reading the introduction, Long couldn't help but get excited. In this way, as long as he stores a large amount of toad oil and releases it at one time, most enemies cannot escape. Coupled with the viscosity and burning properties of toad oil, it can cause restraint and powerful second-stage fire damage. At this time, I have to say that it is C-level ninjutsu. Whether it is power or coverage, it is far from comparable to E-level. Of course, this ninjutsu also has flaws, or more precisely, the flaws of Long Yi himself. That is, with the qualifications of Long Yi, the production speed of toad oil is too slow, let alone a sea of oil, it is the size of a lake. If his aptitude is not improved, I am afraid that he will not be able to make it in this life. Of course, under normal circumstances, how much toad oil is needed? Open black lens bracket. Takagi Ryuya close black lens bracket. Rank, Chunin. Organ, ear. Skill, Clone Jutsu, E-rank ninjutsu. Millennium kill strengthen plus 86,400, E-level physical skills. Substitute jutsu strengthen plus 86400, E-class ninjutsu. Draw sword and strengthen plus 86400, E-level physical art. Toad oil bomb enhancement plus 86400, C-class ninjutsu. At the same time, looking at the personal panel, the skill bar has changed immediately. In the days that followed, almost all of the time was spent in tasks and cultivation. After being promoted to Chunin, Long Yi still followed the 9th class on the mission. Since Class 9 already has a special Jonin and a Chunin, the difficulty of the tasks that can be taken has been raised to B-level. The B-level mission already involves the battle between ninjas. Compared with the C-level, the risk factor is greatly increased. Of course, to match it, the reward is also greatly increased, between 52,000 and 150,000 miles. As for cultivation, the dragon is currently focusing on the Nova Whirlwind, and occasionally practices the hero fireball technique. I don't know if it was the Sarutobi secret medicine that had the effect, or the psychological effect. Long also felt that the cultivation seemed to be easier. In addition, as the 3 generations of Hokage said, as long as he has time, he will find the dragon and teach him. The 3rd generation did not directly teach Ryuya a certain ninjutsu, but started from the basics, training his fighting skills, battlefield analysis, and other various adaptability. As a result, unconsciously, Long Yi's foundation has become more and more solid, and his overall strength is also rapidly improving. Every day is busy, but also very fulfilling. Time flies so fast, it's just over a month in the blink of an eye. Noba Whirlwind. At noon that day, Long Yi, who did not have a mission, practiced as usual. Boom! With a muffled sound, the tree that was kicked by the dragon shook violently, and a lot of leaves fell from Shushu. Judging from the current situation, in 10 days, this ninjutsu will be able to be practiced. In this way, you can use it until the next skill enhancement. Noba Whirlwind. Thinking of this joy for a while, Long couldn't help but practice harder. At this moment, Long Yi suddenly saw a figure entering the village from the entrance of the village. The Land of Fire has an advantageous geographical location and has many contacts with neighboring countries. And Konoha Hidden Village, as a ninja village in the Land of Fire, often has outsiders. As long as it's not an enemy and doesn't ask for trouble, Konoha Ninja will not interfere. But the stranger who entered the village at this time immediately caught Long Yi's attention. The other party was wearing a hat and could not see his face. But the dark windbreaker, with the clouds of fire floating on it, is clearly the clothing of the Shao organization. During this period, Akatsuki had not yet begun to collect tailed beasts, so he did not become enemies with major powers, or even officially surfaced. Therefore, everyone is still very unfamiliar with Huianpao. But Long Yi, who is a traveler, is very clear in his heart that there is a danger hidden in this dress. Could it be? Recalling the plot, after Konoha was attacked, Shao did come. Konoha's betrayal of Uchiha Itachi, and Kurikan's betrayal of Ninja Kakigami, their group came to Konoha to investigate the situation of Naruto, or the Nine Tails. After all, the ultimate goal of Shao is to collect tailed beasts, and then use tailed beasts to conquer the world and bring the so-called permanent peace to the world. But there is only one person at this time. Is it Itachi or Ghost Shark? Dragon also prefers Itachi. After all, Itachi's ability is more suitable for reconnaissance, and he is more familiar with Konoha. Look what you're going to do. The other party had already entered the village, and Long also thought a little and followed directly. Facing the talented young Itachi, who has a kaleidoscope and is proficient in illusion, graduated from the ninja school at the age of 7, and became a chunin at the age of 10, Long also believes that he is not an opponent. But as long as he doesn't look into Itachi's eyes, with the enhanced avatar technique, self-protection shouldn't be a problem. Besides, this is Konoha after all, and there are Konoha ninjas everywhere, even Itachi wouldn't dare to make too much noise. Of course, even so, after all, it is the legendary Itachi god, and the dragon does not dare to be careless. With the help of radar ears, he tries not to follow too closely. But what surprised him was that Itachi didn't come to investigate, but rather like a sightseeing tour, wandering around the village, eating and drinking. This is homesickness, and you have come to visit the old place again. Long also blinked, then smiled, no longer thinking about other things, and concentrated on tracking. After about an hour, Itachi left the residential area and went to the field where there were fewer people. When he reached a lake, he suddenly stopped by the lake. The dragon also hid in the distance, monitoring with radar ears. But it has been a long time, and it has not seen any movement from Itachi. Long also frowned slightly and approached quietly, wanting to see what Itachi was doing. After getting close, the dragon couldn't help frowning again, only to see Itachi standing there motionless, like a wood plastic. Pong! Just when Long was puzzled, there was a muffled sound, and the Itachi disappeared instantly. It was a clone technique. Not good. At the same time, Long Yi's back instantly stood up, and someone sneaked up. 028 second play Xiaonan. Pong. With a muffled sound, the corpse of Long Yi, which was penetrated by the back, instantly turned into a stone. At this time, the dragon has also moved to the lake. When using the avatar technique to escape the fatal blow just now, Long didn't dare to look up at Itachi's eyes, just stared at his body, frowning in thought. From the beginning, what he followed was the clone. Or, on the way to his tracking, he was stolen and replaced. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Long Yi was thinking about it, the sound of breaking the air came, and countless shuriken shot at him. This is. With kunai in hand, these shurikens can be easily dropped. At the same time, seeing the appearance of these shuriken, Long couldn't help but startled. Although the power is similar, it is not a real shuriken, but a stack of paper. Paper shuriken. The dragon also suddenly came back to his senses and looked up at the Itachi opposite. Tatata. At this time, this Itachi has rushed towards him. With the rapid movement, the hat on the opponent's head fell. Whereas Uchiha Itachi, it is clearly Xiaonan. It's really you. Seeing that it was Xiaonan, Long couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. As a member of Xiao's organization, Xiaonan's strength is not weak. But compared to Itachi, the threat is much smaller. At the same time, Long couldn't help but wonder, shouldn't it be Itachi? How did he become Xiaonan? Clang. At this time, Xiaonan had already rushed up, with the paper stack in his hand, kunai, and stabbed Long Yi fiercely. The dragon didn't dodge either, but met directly with kunwu in his hand, making a crisp metal crash sound. The 3 generations have taught him for more than a month. Today, it is rare for Xiaonan to be a sparring coach, just in time to test shuriken skills. Quote. Compared to Long Yi's calm attitude, although Xiaonan didn't speak, looking at Long Yi's eyes, it was clearly full of murderous aura. As the members gradually recruited, the Xiao organization has begun to prepare for the action against the tail beast. Before that, the first thing to do is to gather information. 9 tails, the most powerful of the tailed beasts, is naturally one of the key points. I originally wanted to send the group of Itachi. After all, Itachi is familiar with the environment. But when he heard that he was coming to Konoha, Xiaonan, who had always seldom opened his mouth, took the initiative to take over the task. Although the burning pain has long since disappeared, the scars left in her heart will never be erased. Many late nights, she couldn't sleep because of shame. So this time, in addition to investigating the 9 tails, she also has to find that kid from Konoha and kill him. Coming to Konoha, Xiaonan found out that Juwei was not in the village. So, she turned to the second goal, first sending a clone to appear in front of Ryuya, and then lure him here. Clang, clang, clang. With the sound of the shuriken colliding, the 2 kept changing positions, and soon hit the center of the lake from the shore. At this moment, Xiaonan suddenly stopped and opened up a little distance. Huh? Why did it stop? Long was also taken aback, and then he looked at the surrounding environment, and instantly understood in his heart. You are too careless. At this time, Xiaonan opened his mouth with a hint of pride. Dragon is also a substitute, but at this time above the lake, I see what substitute you use. Really careless. Long also frowned, pretending to be annoyed. To cast the avatar, an object of 1 to 100 kg is required. But on this lake, there is nothing but water. Formless water cannot be used as a substitute. Even dragons are specially made and specially weighted to reach the 1 kg standard of kunai. However, after the shot falls, it will immediately sink to the bottom of the lake, unable to stay on the surface of the lake, and it will not be able to launch a surprise attack through its displacement. Obviously, Xiaonan specially investigated Long Yi's intelligence and chose this venue in a targeted manner. How did you know my avatar ability? At the same time, Long couldn't help but ask curiously. 3,000,000 taels. Having said that, the resentment on Xiao Nan's face deepened. In order to get your information, it cost me 3,000,000 taels. Tisk tisk, it's so dark. Long also pouted for a while, but he didn't expect his intelligence to be so valuable. In fact, after the end of the Chunin exam, as Sandai Hokage expected, the name of Double Ryuya spread quickly throughout the world. Experience tells you that countries can become enemies at any time. Therefore, about such a new star, it immediately attracted the attention of other large and small countries. As a result, the price of information about Long Yi's abilities is getting higher and higher. Unfortunately. As for how others learned of Ryuya's information, it was obviously inferred from his performance in the Chunin exam. Long also laughed secretly in his heart. This information is not accurate. At this time, the dragon was also only 300 meters away from the shore, and Xiao Nan showed his intentions. Obviously, according to the information she got, the maximum distance of Long Yi's avatar technique is within 200 to 300 meters. The reason for this result must be that the dragon also moved more than 200 meters when he avoided Gaara's chakra. In the eyes of ordinary people, this is already abnormal. But how do they know that the real displacement distance of the dragon is 1 mile, which is 500 meters? Therefore, at this time, the dragon also seems to be trapped on the lake surface, but in fact, it can move back to the shore at any time. Long Yi secretly laughed in his heart. Xiaonan spent 3,000,000 taels in vain. On the surface, he pretended to be calm, but in fact he looked flustered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this time, Xiao Nan, who thought he had succeeded, began to use pieces of paper to output to the dragon. Clang, clang, clang. The dragon also pretended not to be able to move, but kept blocking with Kuu's parry. Paper rain. After all, this is Konoha. Xiaonan must fight quickly. With a light drink, the huge wings formed by the paper behind him also shoot countless pieces of paper towards the dragon. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ryu also tried his best to resist dodging, while raising his hand and shooting kunai in all directions. Don't think about it. Thinking that Long also wanted to escape through Kuu's stand-in, Xiaonan shouted lightly, changed his target directly, and intercepted Kuu before it flew far away. Toad bomb. At this moment, Long also shouted loudly, and a huge amount of toad oil was poured directly at Xiaonan. Whoa! More than twice the usual number of toad oil bombs, and being caught off guard, Xiaonan was splashed right. Errors and omissions can sometimes be fatal. It's done. Seeing Xiaonan who was recruited, Long also smiled. How about it? You won't be able to play origami with oil. You. Covered in sticky toad oil, Xiaonan was annoyed. In her paper dance, apart from attacks like fire escape, the most feared thing is oil. Whoosh. At this time, before Xiaonan could think about it, why did Long also know the weakness of her technique? The sound of breaking the air sounded, and seeing the kunwu shot by Long Yi towards her back, she couldn't help but think of the painless Millennium Kill, and Xiaonan's face changed drastically in an instant. 029 accidentally exploded Tsunade. Escaped. Looking at the empty lake, the dragon who fluttered couldn't help but pouted. I don't know what kind of ninjutsu Xiaonan used, but just now he suddenly disappeared in a cloud of smoke. But think about it, as a member of Akatsuki's organization, when executing the infiltration plan, how could there be no preparations for evacuation? I really want to thank Jiraiya. Looking at the oil remaining on the lake, Long also smiled again. As paper, Xiaonan's paper dance can't be used after it gets oiled, so it is restrained by the toad oil bomb. When Xiaonan exploded at the beginning, she didn't expect her to hold grudges so much that she even chased after Konoha. And with a woman's careful eye, it is inferred that after this miss, I am afraid that it will not stop in the future. With this toad oil bomb in hand, the dragon couldn't help but feel a lot more at ease. But speaking of it, just now, in order to ensure that he could hit, Long also sprayed out all the oil he had accumulated before. Next, I had to take some time and convert some toad oil. Although Xiaonan is a member of Xiao's organization, Long also has a good impression of her as a traveler. Now that Xiaonan has retreated, he doesn't want to pursue it anymore, and then turns to leave. Hey, that's disgusting. What did this woman do? It's oily. Get away from her. ... Long also just returned to the village, when Radar Ear suddenly heard the whispers of many passers-by. Under normal circumstances, the Radar Ear can cover a radius of 10 miles, and the directional screening can even reach 1,000 miles. But with so many voices, if he listened to all of them, Long must have gone mad long ago. Therefore, out of physical instinct, it will filter information and automatically block content that has nothing to do with itself. She hasn't left the village yet. According to the words of passers-by, it can be determined that a woman covered in grease appeared on the street. Just imagine, who else could be except Xiaonan, who was sprayed all over by him. Look where you're going. Long Yi smiled lightly and rushed over immediately. The Radar Ear monitor constantly determines Xiaonan's position. After a while, Long also came to a corner of the street and quietly hid. At this time, Xiaonan is on the street next to him. If there is no accident, he will pass here in a minute. Come on. Radar's ears had already locked on Xiaonan's footsteps, and he was about to come over soon. Long Yi smiled and his hands were already sealed. On the lake just now, Xiaonan escaped, and the 1,000-year-old kills the empty, just to make up for her. Although he is an enemy, as a transmigrator, he doesn't actually hate Xiaonan. So Long has never really killed Xiaonan, but more of a joke. This is the time. Immediately afterwards, footsteps sounded, and the target had appeared. Millennium Kill. When the back-to-back condition was met, the dragon did not hesitate to launch a surprise attack. Puff. The next moment, along with a muffled sound, a scream resounded through the sky above Konoha. How about it? Feel comfortable. When he succeeded, the corner of Long also smiled, and at the same time, he couldn't help but feel relieved. It's been a long time since he stabbed someone. You. At this time, the person lying on the ground supported and turned his head, glaring at Long Yi with resentment on his face. Ah. When he saw the appearance of the other party, Long was also stunned for a moment. Why not Xiaonan? In fact, not only the appearance, but also the figure and clothes are completely different. But unfortunately, Long Yi was just listening to it, and didn't watch it at all. Tsunade was about to speak when the pain struck again, making her hold back, and then she was full of anger. She had just returned to the village, and at the entrance of the village, she encountered a strange woman who was in a hurry and seemed to be running away, and she was rubbed with disgusting oil. It looked like toad oil, but it was obviously thicker, and instead of cleaning it up, she got it all over her body. She came back to serve as the 5th Hokage, but she entered the village in such an embarrassed manner, and was pointed at her along the way. Tsunade was already annoyed enough, but she never expected that, for no reason, a kid would suddenly appear, and he would explode her directly. I'm going to kill. Tsunade was so angry that he wished he could crush the kid in front of him to death. But the pain was unbearable, and there was a burst of numbness and soreness. Tsunade even suspected that the little devil's fingers wouldn't have chili noodles and poison smeared on them. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel more and more resentful towards this vicious little devil. Tsunade-sama. Grandma Tsunade. At this moment, with 2 exclamations, 2 people chased up from behind. Naruto. Long also saw that one of them was Naruto. Didn't Naruto go to Tsunade? Why did he come back? Gang. Long also widened his eyes instantly. Wasn't what Naruto and the others shouted just now Tsunade? Then he looked down and saw that the surging elder sister in front of him was Tsunade Haim. Nima. In an instant, cold sweat broke out on Long Yi's head, and he actually burst Tsunade's chrysanthemum. Whoosh. The next moment, avatars. At this time, don't flash, are you waiting to be crushed to death by this strange girl Tsunade? Hey, I seem to have seen the dragon just now. At this time, Naruto, who ran over, couldn't help scratching his head. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After using the substitute technique one after another, he fled outside the village in one breath, and Long also dared to stop. It's over, it's over. Although he ran away, his little heart was still beating wildly, which caused a lot of trouble. After hiding outside for a day, seeing that it was getting late, Long also quietly turned back. The teacher is looking for me. As soon as I entered the village, I got news that the 3 generations of Hokage summoned. The teacher always took out the precious rest time and used it to guide him in his cultivation. Long did not dare to neglect, and hurried to Hokage's office. Teacher, look for me. The dragon also comes with you. Seeing that the dragon was also coming, the 3 generations of Hokage smiled and pointed to the person by the window. She is Chinsho Tsunade, your senior sister. Tsunade, this is what I told you, my new disciple, Takagi Ryuya. Hee, my lovely little teacher. Tsunade, who had changed into clean clothes, turned around with a smile, just in time to see Ryuya who was about to turn away. Boom. The next moment, Tsunade suddenly exerted force under his feet, and the floor shattered instantly. At the same time, he reached the door in a flash, stretched out his arms to block the way, and an evil smile appeared on his face. Little junior brother, where are you going? I have a urgency to urinate. Then hold on for now, and senior sister will gently solve it for you. Huh. This scene surprised the 3 generations of Hokage. Have you seen it before? You don't know Sarutobi-sensei. As soon as I entered the village, my younger brother greeted me warmly. Tsunade lowered his head slightly, staring at Long Yi with a more and more terrifying smile. So from now on, I will take good care of the younger brother. 030 Sasuke's defection. With Tsunade's strange power, let alone he punched down and even the shit was punched out. At this time, the 3 generations of Hokage on the side pretended not to see anything. In the face of the runaway Tsunade, the old man also persuaded. Still muttering, what did Ryu also do to make Tsunade run wild? Long Yi, who was devastated, did not dare to fight back. After all, he was the one who made the mistake first. Moreover, if Tsunade didn't let this breath out, would he still want to have a better life in the future? But in fact, even if Tsunade said this, as a woman who loves to hold grudges, Ryuya's days in Konoha can only be described with the words, distressed. However, there is one dragon who suffers, and thousands of families are happy. From now on, I will rule this village. The 5th Hokage. Standing on the roof of Hokage's office, Tsunade made a high-spirited declaration. In fact, the arrival of Tsunade and the inauguration of the new Hokage really gave the village a shot in the arm. The teenagers practiced harder in order to become stronger, and the whole village was full of vitality. Noba whirlwind. Click. With a loud shout, the tree trunk with the thickness of the basketball in front of him was kicked off by Long Yi. It's finally done. After more than 2 months of hard training, the most important thing is that he has taken Sarutobi's secret medicine twice, which seems to have played a role. Sea-level physique Konoha whirlwind. Dragon has finally mastered it. Like sword and slash, it's an attack skill. But in contrast, as a sea-level melee tactic, it is more powerful. It can also be seen from the tree that was kicked off. As an attacking skill, Konoha Whirlwind matches powerful forces at a whirlwind-like speed and possesses terrifying destructive power. Fire Escape. The art of fireball. Just learned a new skill, but the dragon did not rest, and immediately started a new practice. Call. With a muffled sound, a ball of fire with a diameter of 70 to 80 centimeters spewed out of his mouth. Although he practiced intermittently, over time, his fireball technique continued to improve. But if you want to truly master this technique, the diameter of the fireball after it is fully released must be at least 8 meters. There is still a long way to go before success. But Long was not discouraged, and practiced repeatedly with patience. Another mission. Since Konoha was attacked shortly, many places needed to be rebuilt, which required a lot of money. On the other hand, Konoha must also show the outside world as soon as possible that their strength is still there, in order to prevent some eager hearts. Therefore, after Tsunade came to power, while re-establishing an ally with Sandian village, which was also hit hard, Konoha began to receive a large number of high-level tasks. One is to obtain funds, and the other is to demonstrate strength. Although the 9th class was established not long ago, with a special Junin and a Chunin, the tasks cannot help but increase, and the task level has also increased a lot. I am back at last. This afternoon, after completing AB level mission again, Long Yi and the others returned to Konoha exhausted. At the same time, I couldn't help but find that there were significantly fewer ninjas in the village, and they were obviously doing tasks outside. Do you want to go together? Don't. The first thing I did when I went back to the village was to report to Hokage about the mission. Hayate asked, but Long refused. Tsunade still remembers his hatred. If we can't meet, it's best not to meet. Rather than being ravaged by Tsunade, he might as well go home and take a hot bath. Huh. But who would have guessed that as soon as I got home, before taking off my pants, the wind came and said that the 5 generations of Hokage were looking for him. This is a rhythm that can't be avoided, and Long has no choice but to bite the bullet and come to Hokage's office. What? But what I didn't expect was that Tsunade didn't want to ravage him, but had an urgent mission. Just last night, Sasuke Uchiha left the village privately. According to speculation, he was bewitched by Orochimaru and went to Yinin village. Because the Shangnin and Chunin in the village have tasks that they cannot escape, they have no choice but to dispatch Shikamaru, who has just been promoted to Chunin, to lead a team to pursue them. Shikamaru found Naruto, Neji, Inazukaya, and Dingji, a total of 5 people, and they have gone to chase. But so far, no news has come back. Tsunade had also sent a message to Sandian village, hoping to get their support, but he was still uneasy. Just at this time, Long also came back, so Long also served as reinforcements and went to the rescue. I see. After listening, Long also nodded, then turned around and left. Hello. Just when Ryuya was about to go out, Tsunade suddenly stopped him. But don't die, my lovely little brother. Don't worry, I haven't had enough of your abuse, perverted eldest sister. Long also smiled and waved his hand, then walked out of the door. This hateful kid, when he comes back, he must take the place of the teacher and give him a good guide on what it means to be polite. Tsunade smiled, and for some reason, when Ryu also left, the originally uneasy mood instantly relaxed a lot. It still happened. Long Yi here, after monitoring the equipment, regardless of exhaustion, without the slightest pause, immediately went to chase. In the original book, Sasuke, who was seriously injured by Itachi and almost had a nervous breakdown. Especially seeing that Naruto and other people of his age are making continuous progress, they are deeply stimulated again, and they urgently want to become stronger. At this time, Orochimaru sent him an invitation. The reason why Orochimaru found Sasuke was to cultivate him into a perfect container, and then use the technique of immortal rebirth to capture Sasuke's body, thereby obtaining Sharingan. Sasuke is not ignorant of this, but in order to become stronger, in order to avenge Itachi, he still decided to go and seek skin with the tiger. In this world, because of Ryuya's relationship, it wasn't Itachi but Xiaonan. Ryuya originally thought that Sasuke might be able to avoid the misunderstanding in the original book. But unfortunately, people's character is already doomed, and Long also underestimated Orochimaru's ability to deceive. Sasuke still left Konoha. Hurry up. According to the original story, Shikamaru and his party and the 5 people of Yinin had a fierce confrontation. In the end, there are winners and losers, but even a victory is a disastrous victory. The final result was due to the timely arrival of Sand Ninja's reinforcements and Tsunade's powerful medical ninjutsu. Although the group did not recover Sasuke, they all saved their lives. But in this world, is this still the case? If there is a slight error, Shikamaru and the others may be finished. Therefore, the dragon cannot delay, and must immediately catch up. 031 Kim Maro in full bloom. With the radar ears and the marks Shikamaru and the others left along the way, the dragon can also clearly know the pursuit route. Directly and continuously use the substitute technique to quickly catch up with the flash. Ding times. After a while, Ryu also found Choji Akishima first. At this time, Dingji had already defeated Jirofang of the 5 people of Yunnan, but because of taking the Chudao family's secret medicine chili pills, he fell into a coma due to side effects and his life was at stake. Long also frowned, and instead of sending Dinky back to Konoha, he continued to pursue. In addition to Long Yi, Konoha's medical ninjas have also been dispatched, and it can be seen from the radar that they will arrive soon. Dragon doesn't know how to heal ninjutsu either, so instead of wasting time here, it's better to go after others. Ningji. After some distance, Long also found Neji again. His opponent is Kidomaru, who is the most difficult to deal with among the 5 people except Junmaru. As in the original book, Neji had already defeated Kidomaru, and he himself had been seriously injured and fell to the ground. As long as everything looks like the original, you shouldn't have to worry about it. The dragon did not delay, and continued to chase. Found it. Finally, after a while, Ryu also found Inazukaya and Shikamaru. The 2 of them were fighting with Zojin, Yujin and Tayuya respectively. But I didn't see Naruto and Sasuke, who should have entered a state of suspended animation and was hiding in a wooden barrel. What's the matter? Long also used the radar ear to search immediately, and couldn't help frowning instantly, and the plot really changed again. You 2 hold on a little longer. On Shikamaru and Inazukaya's side, they were already in a hard fight, and the situation was very critical. But the dragon did not step forward to help, but shouted, and then jumped away. Hey, you bastard! I'm afraid it's going to be troublesome now. Looking at Ryuya, who left completely regardless of their lives, Toa and Shikamaru were annoyed and had headaches. Just imagine, how could the dragon disregard the life and death of his companions? In fact, Radar had just discovered that Tamari and Konkuro, who were among the Sandian reinforcements, were not far from here. With the 2 of them to the rescue, Shikamaru and Toya will be safe. Moreover, this is another opportunity for Shikamaru and Tamari to develop feelings. As a Naruto fan, how can Dragon be so troublesome? Of course, the most important thing is that the other side needs his rescue even more. Bang bang bang. At this time, a few miles away, through the woods, above a wilderness, Xiaoli and Gaara were fighting fiercely against a pale, white-haired boy. When the 2 of them joined forces, they fell into a hard battle. Their opponent is the leader of the 5 people of Yunnan, who was originally the most satisfied container of Orochimaru, Kagaya-kun Maru. After Tsunade's treatment, Xiaoli has regained his life, but after all, he has not fully recovered, so he is not part of the pursuit team. But when he heard the news, out of concern for his companions, he immediately caught up. And Gaara, as Sandian's reinforcements, Shantamari and Konkuro arrived after a while. Coincidentally, the 2 met Naruto, who was fighting against Junmaru, and rescued Naruto at a critical moment. Next, Sasuke woke up, jumped out of the barrel, and continued to flee. And Naruto, desperately, chased after him. Xiaoli and Gaara originally wanted to catch up, but what they didn't expect was that they were stopped by Junmaru alone. Damn. After another confrontation, looking at Jimalu, who was unscathed, Lee and Gaara, who were already out of breath, could not help frowning. Whether it's Xiaoli's Gangquan or Gaara's sand, they all have extremely strong destructive power. However, it can't hurt Junmaru at all. As a Kagaya clan, Junmaru has a bloodline boundary called Bone Vein. The so-called corpse vein is the terrifying ability to freely manipulate one's own bones. Bone can be used to make the sharpest spear or the strongest shield. If it weren't for the genetic disease of the Kagaya clan, Junmalu would be the best container for the reincarnation of Orochimaru, so it wouldn't be used for Sasuke's idea. Dance of Wire Flowers. With a loud shout, Junmaru pulled out his spine from behind, like a long whip, and threw it directly at Gaara. Snapped. With a soft sound, the spinal whip instantly wrapped around Gaara. Although there was sand blocking it, the sharp bone spurs would not hurt Gaara, but it was tightly entangled at this time and could not break free for a while. Flowers. Junmalu shouted again, the other arm, countless bones proliferated, and instantly formed a thick and sharp spear, and then sprinted towards Gaara. The strongest defense. Shield of the Crane Guard. Entangled by the spinal whip, Gaara couldn't dodge for a while. Seeing that the situation was in critical condition, he shouted loudly and used sand to form a wall in front of him. Boom! But at the next moment, Gaara's shield of Shukaku, known as the strongest defense, was directly pierced by Kunmaro's bone spear. How is this possible? Gaara's face was full of horror. He gathered minerals with higher hardness in the ground and used chakra to fuse them with sand. At this level, he couldn't resist Junmalu's bone spear. Not good. At the same time, Junmaru's bone spear was still inexhaustible, still stabbing directly at Gaara. Gaara's eyes were wide open, and if he got hit this time, he would definitely die. But at this time, no one could save him. After all, even the shield of Sho Crane can't resist. Who can stop this monster? Cut. And at this moment, a loud shout suddenly sounded. Laugh. The next moment, an invisible sword energy struck from not far away, heading straight for Junmalu. This is... Gaara was startled again. This kind of sword energy, he was too familiar with it. Scoff. The sword chi arrived in an instant, directly slashing on Junmalu's bone spear. Junmalu thought that with the strength of his bones, this sword energy could not help him at all. But obviously, he was wrong. With a light sound, the bones on his arm were cut open in an instant. Junmalu was startled, and hurriedly jumped back. Scoff. The sword chi continued to move forward, and while smashing the bone spear, the spine whip that bound Gaara was also cut off together. Tread, tread, tread. Junmalu jumped back several times in succession, temporarily pulling away, and looking at the front vigilantly. Whoosh. The next moment, a figure appeared. It was Long Yi. Dragon is also a stand-in. Looking at Long Yi, Junmalu was still expressionless and his voice was low. It's really you. Kagaya-kun Maro. Long also looked at Junmalu, but frowned. At this time, Junmalu, although his face was morbid, there was no sign that his life was about to come to an end. 032 Long Yi vs. Junmalu. In the original plot, Shaoli arrived in time to save Naruto. After Naruto chased after Sasuke, Shaoli faced off against Junmaru. After that, Gaara arrived in time to save Shaoli. And now, Shaoli and Gaara arrived almost at the same time, but none of that matters. The most important thing is Junmaru. Judging from the state of Junmalu, there is indeed a serious disease, but for some reason, the disease seems to be under control for the time being. It's not that Junmaru, whose life is coming to an end, has the strength of the heyday. This is also why, in the original plot, the shield of the crane that blocked Junmalu's bone spear could not be blocked here. Therefore, Junmalu at this time is more than twice as strong as in the anime. After thinking about this, Long couldn't help frowning. This time it was really troublesome. Come on. At this time, Junmalu opened his mouth, the bones proliferated rapidly, forming a layer of bone armor on his body, and the provocative Shanglong hooked his fingers. Come and kill me. Draw the sword. Long did not hesitate at all, and instantly drew his sword and slashed. A 3-meter-long sword chi roared and slashed towards Junmalu. Click, kaka. The sword chi clenched the bones and made a harsh sound like grinding teeth. Pong. The sword chi slashed into 1 centimeter, and finally collapsed with a muffled sound. It's really strong. Taking a look at the sword marks on the bones, Jun Malu exclaimed. But alas, your bones are harder. Long Yi's brows could not help but wrinkle deeper, and there was a hint of helplessness in his tone. Although drawing a knife slashes iron like mud, the hardness of Junmalu's bones far exceeds that of steel. Under ordinary slashing, the dragon could not cut Junmalu's bones at all. As for the strike that rescued Gaara, it was naturally charged. However, when accumulating power, he needs to maintain the posture of drawing a knife and slashing. When facing the enemy, how could he be given a chance to accumulate power, especially a master of physical arts like Junmalu? No, no, still no. It is not enough to draw a sword, let alone kill for 1,000 years. The bones made by Junmaro can even protect chrysanthemums. Even if the dragon pokes his fingers off, he can't get in. The avatar technique can only perform displacement, and has no actual attack ability, so naturally it does not work. As for the toad oil bomb that has just been strengthened, with its super stickiness, although it can control the enemy, it cannot control Junmaro. Because he can proliferate bones indefinitely, he can completely remove a layer of bones and get rid of the oil. Besides, before playing against Xiaonan, all the toad oil was sprayed out at once. It has only been a long time, and the number of those newly made by Long Yi is too small. Finger piercing. At this time, Junmalu has launched an attack. With a light drink, the phalanx at the end of the 10 fingers, like powerful bullets, shot at Long Yi. Whoosh! The dragon also used the substitute technique and immediately flashed. Dance of Tang Song. And then, after the dragon also appeared again, Junmalu had already rushed up. Sword-like bones stick out all over his body, and in close proximity, it is not only extremely dangerous, but also has a strong defense. In the previous battle, Shaoli opened the first of the 8 doors, but he was unable to damage it in the slightest. Obviously, Junmalu also has information about Long Yi. Otherwise, how could he directly call out the name, dragon also? According to the information, Junmalu speculates that the sword chi that Long also cut off his bone spear was amplified by, So, he stood still and let the dragon kill him too. I just wanted to try it out, whether Long Yi's ordinary slash could cut off his reinforced bones. In fact, Long also wants to know this question, because it will directly decide the outcome of life and death for the two of them. Regrettably, the chops kept going. In this way, the dragon can't help Junmalu, and Junmalu can attack so unscrupulously. Whoosh! There is no way to fight with Junmalu, who is full of bones, and there is no way, the dragon can only move to avoid it again. Fortunately, although he couldn't break the defense against Junmalu, Junmalu couldn't keep up with his speed, and at most no one could do anything about him. Are you going to hide forever? Junmalu, who fluttered in the air again, still had no expression on his face, then turned around, and suddenly went straight to Shaoli. Yes, he can't catch dragon, but there are 2 little bugs here, and he can kill them first. Seeing Junmalu rushing up, Shaoli's eyes widened, ready to fight. He was not Junmalu's opponent at all, and at this time, his still unrecovered body cracked again due to the force, and there were bursts of piercing pain. If Shaoli fights Junmalu recklessly, he will surely die. Whoosh! Seeing that Junmalu was about to rush to Shaoli, a figure passed by. It was Long Yi. Long Yi's expression was solemn, and he directly stood between Junmalu and Shaoli. Aren't you going to run away? Junmalu was still expressionless, but his cold eyes showed his excitement. Attacking Shaoli in order to lure the dragon to come to. The next moment, Junmalu will attack Long Yi. Noba Whirlwind. But at this moment, the dragon also shouted and kicked Junmalu directly. Boom! With a muffled sound, Junmalu, who was caught off guard, was kicked out several meters with both feet plowing the ground. You still have this trick. Junmalu, who regained his footing, had a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Although it was an accident, this move was useless to him at all. Just imagine, if this trick worked, Xiaoli would have defeated Junmalu long ago. Can I just retreat? Of course Long also knew that it was useless. Just now, he just stopped Junmalu temporarily. At this time, he was already thinking that if he couldn't do it, he could only escape. He can easily retreat, but can Xiaoli and Gaara escape? Even if they escaped, what about Sasuke's Naruto who had gone after him? There are also Shikamaru and Toya who have just escaped danger, Tamari and Kankuro who came to the rescue, Neji and Dingji who were seriously injured, and the Konoha medical class. Junmalu, who is unstoppable, is bound to start killing people. At that time, these people may be in danger. But if you don't run away, what else can you do? Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to the host. Get an unlimited chance to strengthen. Close black lens bracket. Just as Long was in a dilemma, the system prompt suddenly sounded. This is. Long couldn't help but startled, and suddenly remembered, yes, today is just 60 days, and he once again got an opportunity to strengthen infinitely. In fact, in the morning, reinforcement can already be carried out. But Long Yi, who had just completed the task, forgot for a while. Long also did not strengthen. It was already evening, and the system took the initiative to issue a prompt. Strengthen Konoha Whirlwind. Thinking of this, Long also issued an order immediately. This infinite enhancement, target, skill, Konoha Whirlwind. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket as the host confirmed. Close black lens bracket. Okay. Without hesitation, Long couldn't help but smile. He wants to see how hard Junmalu's bones are. 033 Skill Strengthening. Unlimited enhancement begins. Target, skill, Konoha Whirlwind. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Noba Whirlwind Enhancement +1 Close black lens bracket. Noba Whirlwind Enhancement +2. Noba Whirlwind Strengthen +10, Power Increase. Close black lens bracket. Noba Whirlwind Enhancement +11. After the command was issued, the system prompts sounded one after another. When he saw the words, Strength Enhancement, the dragon couldn't help but feel joy in his heart. See how you can save him this time. At this moment, Junmalu shouted and rushed towards Xiaoli again. Junmalu was aggressive, and Long also quickly blocked the system prompt and responded with all his strength. Noba Whirlwind. In the face of Junmalu who was rushing up, Long Yi didn't move this time, but this time, he kicked it directly. Boom. There was a muffled sound, but this time, Junmaro, who was already prepared, didn't move at all. Although he easily resisted Long Yi's foot, Junmalu vaguely felt that this foot was heavier than before. Die. But he didn't think too much, then shouted loudly, stretched out a bone knife in the palm of his hand, and slashed at Long Yi. Dance of Tsubaki. Whoosh. Long also frowned and could only leave again. Tread. After being blocked by Long Yi, Xiaoli also got a breather, took the opportunity to jump back, and temporarily distanced himself from Junmalu. Burning in Hell Sands. At the same time, Gaara gave a loud shout and used the opportunity to launch ninjutsu. I saw Junmalu's feet. The ground instantly turned into quicksand, and then swallowed him. This ninjutsu trick is one of Gaara's trump cards. It can sink the enemy to 200 meters underground, and make it impossible to move with the huge pressure. Woo! After using this trick, Gaara gasped heavily and couldn't help sitting on the ground. In a series of fierce battles just now, his chakra consumption was huge, and this move has exhausted his last chakra. Win. Seeing Junmalu being sunk into the ground, Xiaoli was excited for a while. 200 meters underground, and it is impossible for a normal person to break free. I'm afraid not. At this time, Long also opened his mouth and said something, his expression still solemn. After all, in the original plot, Gaara used this trick to deal with Junmalu, but he still climbed up. What's more, Junmalu at this time is twice as strong as in the original plot. How can this be? Boom. Before Xiaoli could finish speaking, with a loud noise, the quicksand suddenly burst open, and Junmalu jumped out of the ground. 200 meters underground was actually broken free. Seeing this scene, Xiaoli was instantly stunned. What kind of monster is this? Sure is a monster. You must know that in the original work, Junmalu has become a cursed state, and he escaped by using the unique trick, Dance of the Early Fern. But at this time, the normal state of the curse mark was not activated, and it was directly drilled out of the ground. The most important thing is that Xiaoli's old injury has relapsed, and I love Luo chakra exhausted. At this time, Long Yi alone, facing the powerful Junmalu, I'm afraid that I can't protect both of them at the same time. Die. At this time, Junmalu shouted and rushed directly to Gaara. Anyone who is sunk 200 meters underground, the first thing to climb out must be revenge. Whoosh. Noba whirlwind. Gaara, who was depleted of chakra, could not resist at all, and the dragon could only move over, and then another kick. Boom. This kick hit Junmalu, but unfortunately, it failed to knock him back. Huh. Although he was not repelled, Junmalu was startled. If it wasn't obvious just now, he thought it was an illusion, but this time he clearly felt that the strength of Long Yi's foot was obviously much heavier than the first time. Junmalu raised his head and looked at Long Yi suspiciously. This person seemed to be hiding a secret with terrifying power. Whoosh. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Long also took Gaara and jumped back quickly to temporarily distance himself from Junmalu. Not enough. Taking the opportunity to take a look at the system, it strengthens once a second, and has been strengthening the power, but obviously, it is not enough to deal with Junmalu. What the dragon lacks most now is time. As long as he can delay for a while and wait for the system to strengthen that Noba whirlwind, to a certain extent, he will definitely be able to defeat Junmaru. After all, the power-based skill of Konoha Whirlwind is the nemesis of the defense-oriented Junmalu. Go to hell. But unfortunately, Junmalu didn't seem to intend to give Long Yi this time, and rushed up again with a loud roar. Long couldn't help frowning. This time he probably couldn't stop it. Sighed Weasel. Seeing that the situation was critical, suddenly a light drink sounded. Call. With the whistling sound, a storm came and devoured Junmalu in an instant. I love Luo. Immediately afterwards, with an anxious cry, Tamari ran over. Excellent. When the reinforcements arrived, Long couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Another bug. After the storm passed, Junmalu was still standing there. His skeletal defense is too strong, and the technique of the scythe Itachi, which is wrapped in countless sharp blade-like winds, did not hurt him in the slightest. Then try this. At this moment, with the sound of the rattling gears, a puppet appeared and directly covered Junmalu. Since Tamari is here, why is Konkuro missing? The prey swallowed by my black ants will be smashed to pieces. Pong. The proud Konkuro, before he finished speaking, with a muffled sound, countless bone blades stretched out, directly tearing his puppet to pieces. Boring bug. Junmalu, who got out of trouble again, looked indifferent and was about to attack again. At this time, he suddenly found that he couldn't move. Shadow mimic success. Looking at it again at this time, the shadow of Junmalu has been fixed, and a slightly loose voice sounded, it is Shikamaru. Tamari and Konkuro, who served as reinforcements, were one step behind Gaara, but they successfully rescued Shikamaru and Kazuya. Tooth is out of combat, but Shikamaru is okay. The three were worried about the battle here, so they rushed to reinforce. Temari's Itachi and Konkuro's black ants are actually bait, in order to give Shikamaru an opportunity to perform shadow imitation. It has to be said that although this strategy is simple, it is very successful. You guys have to hurry, I can't control this monster for too long. At this time, Shikamaru's voice sounded. He didn't have much chakra left, not to mention Junmalu's amazing strength. Understood. Long Yi smiled, holding the handle of the knife in his right hand. aiming at Junmalu in a posture of drawing the knife and slashing. Ah, 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 ah. As long as he accumulates power for a certain period of time, he can cut off Junmalu's bones and kill him. Ah. The dragon was also accumulating power, and Junmalu suddenly let out a series of roars. And in the roar, starting from his chest, countless black linear stripes extended, instantly covering the whole body. I can't catch it. At this time, Shikamaru shouted, the whole person fell to the ground, and the shadow imitation technique was forcibly freed. The seal of the earth. Seeing Junmalu in this state, Long also frowned, and this guy turned into a hanger. 034 break. Orochimaru is dedicated to immortality and constantly researches various taboo techniques. In order to collect materials, he recruited a large number of ninjas with various abilities. Among them, there is an immortal physique named Libra Changwu, who has a special bloodline limit. Extracting bodily fluids from Libra's body, Orochimaru developed a spell. After being injected into the ninja body, it can trigger a powerful force. As one of the 5 people of Yinin, Junmalu is also the most important subordinate of Orochimaru, and was awarded the Seal of Earth, which is second only to Sasuke's Seal of Heaven. Bound by the shadow imitation technique, Long Yi slashed and began to charge up. With life and death at stake, Junmalu finally used the power of the curse mark. Damn bugs, I'll crush you all to death. After breaking free from the shackles, Junmalu immediately dodged, avoiding the attack direction of Long Yi's sword. Then he looked at the people in front of him with murderous intent on his face. Quote. Having lost his goal, the dragon could only stop accumulating power. Looking at Junmalu in the state of the curse mark, he sighed secretly. He had no choice but to fight recklessly. Sighed Weasel. Obviously, the others understood this, and Tamari took the lead. Ka. Immediately afterwards, Kankuro manipulated the other puppets and rushed towards Junmaru as well. Shaoli was seriously injured, and Gaara and Shikamaru ran out of chakra. The 3 of them can only temporarily rest next to each other, hoping to recover some fighting power as soon as possible. Whoosh. Toad Bomb. After Tamari and Kankuro attacked in 2 waves, Ryuya moved to Junmalu's side, opened his mouth, and spit out all the toad oil in his body. Although the number is not large, it can cover the whole body of Junmalu. Small fireball art. Junmalu has a bone vein that can remove his bones and break free from toad oil, so the dragon did not expect to be able to control him, but then spewed out a ball of fire with a diameter of 70 to 80 centimeters. Boom. With a loud noise, the fireball exploded, instantly igniting toad oil, and the raging fire completely wrapped Junmalu. Did you succeed? Looking at Junmaru who was burned, everyone was still full of vigilance. Click, click. But obviously, with just some flames, Junmaru can't be killed at all. With the crisp sound, Junmalu took off a layer of bones and got rid of the still burning toad oil. Dance of Tang Song. Dance of Tsubaki. The next moment, as Junmalu shouted twice, first sharp bones grew all over his body, and then 2 bone knives stretched out from his hands, and he rushed up with murderous intent. Long Yi and the 3 looked solemn, but without any hesitation, they went up to them directly. The next moment, Ryuya, Tamari, and Kankuro fought together around Junmalu. In a 3-on-1 situation, even though Junmalu's physical skills are strong, the 3 of them can handle it with ease. But the most important thing is that they can't break those bones, and they can't hurt Junmalu at all. As a result, the 3 people actually fell into the disadvantage. Nova Whirlwind Strengthen plus 1000, Power Increase. Close Black Lens Bracket. Nova Whirlwind Enhancement plus 1001. Nova Whirlwind Enhancement plus 1002. ... While fighting with Junmalu, he glanced at the system prompt. It has been strengthened more than 1,000 times, and each strengthened item is power. It should be almost. When it is strengthened to 1,000 times, the power is transformed and greatly improved. Nova Whirlwind. Boom. This was the fourth time he used Konoha Whirlwind, and Junmalu was already familiar with it, so he raised his forearm to block. Whoa! But what Junmalu never expected was that compared to the previous 3 times, the strength this time was dozens of times stronger. Under the impact of the huge force, Junmalu moved more than 10 meters under his feet, plowing a deep trace on the ground. What have you done? Standing again, Junmalu looked at Long Yi with a solemn expression. In just a few minutes, how could the power of Long Yi have such a terrifying increase? You know, even if his Earth's curse seal only doubles his body. You don't need to know that. Looking at Junmalu, who was repelled, Long also smiled. With his current strength, although he still can't hurt Junmalu, as long as he can temporarily beat back, that's enough. The skills are still being strengthened. As long as he can limit Junmalu and buy time, the dragon will soon be able to kick his bones to pieces. The Dance of the Willows. If you can't figure it out, hit it. Junmalu gave a light drink and rushed up again. Come on. Long Yi smiled lightly and went up to meet him directly. In a purely physical competition, Dragon is not a match for Junmalu at all. But he has an enhanced version of the substitute technique, which can keep moving and dodging. As for Junmalu's shot at Xiaoli and the others, after the Konoha Whirlwind has been strengthened 1,000 times, the dragon can already kick him back. In this way, the two of you come and go, and still no one can hurt the other, and the battle is at a stalemate. And this state is exactly what Long also wants to see, because he just wants to delay time. Seeing that Ryuya was entangled with Junmalu alone, Temari and Konkuro simply went to rest and fought Junmalu, which was too much chakra. You're still getting stronger. After several fights, Junmalu suddenly stopped and looked at Long Yi with cold eyes. He could feel that Long Yi's Konoha Whirlwind was still growing in strength. It is very possible that Ryuya's Nova Whirlwind will become stronger as the battle continues. Although it is impossible to explain the principle, but Long Yi's techniques are all inexplicable. In this way, the longer it drags on, the worse it will be for him. Ah! Thinking of this, Junmalu let out a roar, and his body changed again. The skin turned dark red, and a thick tail grew behind him, and his body was covered with sharp bone spurs. The seal of the earth, the second form. It was seen through. Seeing Junmalu, who transformed again and finally used all his strength, Ryu also sighed secretly. Although he has already tried his best to control the strength, the system is too powerful, and the degree of his control has not kept up with the degree of strengthening, and sometimes he has to use more strength. Otherwise, he might be able to delay a little longer. However, it should be enough for now. Whoosh! The next moment, the dragon moved again, and instantly appeared beside Junmalu without the slightest hesitation. Leaf Whirlwind. Boom! With a loud noise like a muffled thunder, he kicked Junmalu's arm heavily. This trick of yours is completely useless to me. Junmalu sneered. He did not hesitate to overdraw his body and entered the second form of the curse of the earth. At this time, he is more than twice as strong as before. Once again strengthened bones, he is confident, no one can hurt him now. Click, click. And at this moment, with a burst of cracking sound, a crack appeared in the bones of Junmalu's arm where the dragon also kicked it. 035 The Death of Junmaro. Broken. Break. Seeing this scene, Temari and the others next to them opened their eyes wide and their faces were shocked. They have all played against Junmalu, and they deeply realized how hard the bones are. What's more, at this time, Junmalu's second stage transformation has already increased his strength several times. Such a powerful Junmalu, such a hard bone, was even shattered by Long Yi's kick. The speed at which he has become stronger is beyond my comprehension. Looking at Long Yi, Gaara's expression was very serious. After the Chunin exam, Gaara was rescued back to Sandian village, but there were two figures that lingered in his heart. One is Naruto. Naruto's strength and joy are like the sun, illuminating his darkness for more than 10 years and making him love again. And the other is the dragon. In the third round of the exam, Long Yi cut off his proud absolute defense. It was the first time he had been injured and bleeds since he was so old. If it is said that Naruto made Gaara regain his love, and Ryuya is the one who made him truly understand his fear. After the injury was healed, Gaara practiced desperately and became stronger, so that one day he could overcome that fear. How is that possible? But today, when I saw Long Yi's kick, a deep sense of powerlessness welled up from the bottom of my heart. Gaara smiled bitterly. He was afraid that he would never be able to overcome this fear. At the same time, Long also let him understand again, what is despair. Is that still Konoha whirlwind? Compared to Gaara, Shaoli doesn't have so many thoughts, only shock in his heart. Of all the people present, no one is more familiar with Konoha whirlwind than him. But at this time, the Konoha whirlwind that Long also cast was beyond his cognition. Shaoli couldn't help thinking that when he returned to Konoha, he must ask Mr. Akai for advice. But for some unknown reason, he had doubts about Teacher Akai for the first time. Even Teacher Akai might not be able to explain the so-called Noba whirlwind. Impossible, impossible, it's impossible. At this moment, the stunned Junmalu came back to his senses and let out a hysterical roar. This skeleton is not only defense, but also his pride. Long also kicked just now, along with his pride, also kicked to pieces. Dance of the Early Fern. Junmalu, who was in madness, suddenly turned to Long Yi. His eyes were extremely cold, and then he shouted loudly. The Dance of Hyafern, Junmaru's strongest move. Laugh, chi-chi, scoff. The next moment, from the feet of Junmalu, a large number of bones proliferated, extending rapidly to the ground, and then violently pierced the ground and the sky, like spears, instantly turning a radius of 200 or 300 meters into a forest of white bones. Forest. This move not only covers a wide range, but also launches extremely quickly. Fortunately, through the rest just now, Gaara recovered some chakra, condensed the sand, and held him, Shaoli, Shikamaru and others in the air, avoiding this indiscriminate attack in time. Tread. And Long Yi, who knew Junmalu's technique like the back of his hand, was already prepared. At the moment when the Junmalu jutsu was activated, he jumped into the air to dodge. At this time, he fell and stood firmly on a bone spear. Die. At the moment when Long Yi fell, a bone spear next to him, Junmalu suddenly appeared, a lot of bones in his arm, condensed into a thick spiral bone spear, known as the strongest spear, and stabbed at Long Yi fiercely. As the best successor of the bone vein, Junmalu can even completely attach his body to the protruding bone. Launching the Dance of the Early Fern is not just to attack, but to create a favorable battlefield that can appear at any time. Whoosh. But unfortunately, Long was already prepared, and the avatar technique moved to avoid it again. Dead. Die. 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 The next moment, Junmalu followed Long Yi's figure and kept appearing, with hysterical roars coming out of his mouth. Only by killing Long Yi can he regain his pride. But unfortunately, Long Yi's stand-in technique is too fast. Rao is in the bone forest of Junmalu's home court, and he can't catch Long Yi at all. That's it. Looking at Junmalu, who was completely mad, Long also dodged and smirked. With the scope of his avatar technique, he could actually be instantly transferred to the outside of the bone forest. Even Junmalu, it would not be so easy to create such a bone forest again. But the dragon didn't do that, and kept dodging between the bone forests. The reason why he did so naturally was delaying time. Just give him some more time, it's not just a simple kick. It has to be said that Junmalu, who has fallen into madness, has lost his ability to think and judge, and he has not even seen through such a simple intention. But then again, all of Junmalu's cards have been opened. Even if he sees through, what can he do? Run away. The pride of Junmalu, as the first container of Orochimaru, did not allow him to escape. As a result, in the pursuit of the bone forest, time passed by minute by minute. Noba whirlwind. When the time was almost up, Long also shouted loudly, and finally shot again. Boom. With a muffled sound, this kick hit Junmalu. Click. And then, there was another harsh sound. Junmaro, who was attached to the bone forest, was broken as a connected ossified waste. Wrapped in the power of thunder, Long Yi's kick actually kicked Junmalu away. Whoosh. The next moment, before Junmalu landed, the dragon flashed to his side again. Noba whirlwind. Boom. Puff. With a muffled sound, the bones covering his body shattered instantly. At the same time, Junmalu spurted out a mouthful of blood. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Noba whirlwind. Noba whirlwind. Noba whirlwind. ... Next, the dragon also kept shifting and flashing, and kept kicking at Junmalu. At this time, Junmalu was like a sandbag, being kicked away by Longyi again and again in midair. And in the heavy blows again and again, not to mention the bones on the surface of the body, even the bones of the whole body have been kicked into pieces by the dragon. Who the hell is the monster? Shikamaru couldn't help but lose his mind as he watched Ryuya, who kept hitting Junmaru in midair. This guy was even more terrifying than a monster. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Longyi was only afraid of kicking hundreds of feet, and finally, with a loud noise, Junmalu was smashed to the ground by him. Boom. Immediately afterwards, there was another loud noise, and the bone forest below was also collapsed under the huge wind pressure. It's over. But looking at it now, Junmalu, who was lying in a pit with a diameter of several tens of meters, has completely lost his breath. 0.36 million tons of cyclone. Long Yi's attack was indeed fierce, but Junmalu didn't die under the Konoha whirlwind, but because the state of the curse seal too exceeded the physical load and suffered backlash and died. I have to say that Orochimaru is worthy of the poison in pornography, and his things are really harmful. At the same time that Junmaro died, Naruto and Sasuke's first battle of the End Valley also came to an end. The result was the same as in the original book. Naruto was defeated and fainted. Sasuke, who was willing to do everything to become stronger, finally failed to kill Naruto and completely cut off the fetters. After that, with the arrival of Kakashi, who completed the mission, and the arrival of ninjas from the medical class, this mission to retake Sasuke officially ended. Although he killed the sound of the 5 people, but failed to retake Sasuke in the end, the mission was a failure. But fortunately, all the members who participated in the pursuit and the reinforcements were injured to varying degrees, but no one was sacrificed. Next time, I will definitely complete the task successfully. Shikamaru, who finally couldn't help crying after learning that all his friends had survived, was determined to become a truly excellent ninja. The matter came to an end, and the biggest hero of the battle, Ryuya, who defeated Junmalu almost by himself, quietly left. When I got home, I took a hot bath, put my head on the bed, and fell asleep. Just finished a B-level quest, and then took on this quest. He was too tired. Open black lens bracket. This reinforcement is over. Close black lens bracket. It wasn't until the next afternoon, when the system prompt sounded, that Long also woke up. It's done. Long also yawned, sat up from the bed, and checked the system in detail. In the process of strengthening yesterday, the power of the Konoha whirlwind was enough to kick Junmalu's bones to pieces. Now after a whole day, 86,400 times of strengthening, I don't know how strong it will be. This is. When he saw the effect of the enhanced Konoha whirlwind, Long also widened his eyes and couldn't help but be stunned. Other ninjutsu, even the lowest level of the Millennium Kill, has been strengthened, and various abilities have been derived. Such as raids, such as hits, such as various negative effects. But as AC rank ninjutsu Konoha whirlwind, there is only one effect of strengthening, that is power. 86,400 enhancements. 86,400 enhancements and transformations of strength. 10,000 tons. And in the end, it was an extremely terrifying result. Konoha whirlwind strengthen plus 86400, power 10,000 tons. This is. After returning to God, Long Yi was still a little confused. What is the concept of 10,000 tons, that is, 10 million kilograms? What is the effect of a cyclone of leaves that carries a weight of 10 million kilograms? Long didn't know either, and he didn't dare to try it lightly. He was afraid that if he was not careful, his house would be gone. Inexplicably, Long couldn't help but think, compared with the strongest physique move, Yi Kai, this move, 10,000 whirlwind, which one is stronger? Unfortunately, there is no comparison, it is destined to be an unsolved case. But one thing is certain, this move will be Long Yi's strongest attack move at the moment without considering the draw and slash to charge up. A use of power. If it is simply to increase strength, it can only be regarded as inferior, and the most important thing is to control the strength. While possessing the power of 10,000 tons, the dragon can also completely control this power, such as releasing the power by concentrating a little to achieve a blasting effect. It can also kick people away with one kick without hurting them in the slightest. I have to say that it is worthy of being produced by the system, and it is worthy of a skill that has been strengthened 86,400 times. Single. Of course, there is no almighty ninjutsu, because it only strengthens the power and does not strengthen the damage range, so the attack radius has not changed, and it is still only a single damage skill. Basic level. At the same time, the dragon can't help but be inspired. As AC level ninjutsu, compared to those E level ninjutsu, although it is also strengthened 86,400 times, but because the starting point is much higher, the final result, in addition to being more powerful, does not have so many limitations. Advanced skills. Long couldn't help but think about whether his future training should be focused on advanced skills. But with his aptitude, if he wants to learn an advanced skill, 2 months is simply not enough. In this way, it will cause an embarrassment, that is, the time to strengthen is up, but the dragon has no skills to strengthen. But in order to ensure that there is skill enhancement, and blindly cultivating low-level skills, I am afraid that you will never learn advanced skills. Choose. Long also lay on the bed again, hesitating for a while as to how to choose. Forget it. Thinking of the pain in the head, Long also turned over and simply continued to sleep. Sasuke's departure is undoubtedly a great blow to some people, such as Sakura, Naruto, and Kakashi. But at the same time, it is also an incentive to motivate them to become stronger. And Konoha's other Shinen also felt powerless in this incident, and began to practice harder. Fire escape. The art of fireball. After being busy for a long time, there are not so many tasks anymore, and Long Yi's time is also relaxed. When not on assignments, he spends almost all of his time cultivating. And the focus of his current practice is the technique of the fireball. The 10,000-ton whirlwind made the dragon understand that even with the same 86,400 enhancements, advanced ninjutsu is more valuable. Dragon 2. This morning, Long also practiced hard as always, and with a shout, Naruto ran over. I have come to say goodbye to you. Farewell. Naruto nodded and said seriously. I'm going to practice with the lecherous immortal. This way. Looking at Jiraiya by the road not far away, Long also understood. In the original plot, after Sasuke defected, Naruto blamed himself for not being able to bring his friends back, and felt that he was not strong enough. So then, after his injury was healed, he followed Zillai and left the village to embark on a journey of cultivation. And this walk is 2 years. 2 years later, Naruto returned to Konoha again, already a powerful and mature ninja. Wait for your return. Thinking of this, Long also smiled and stretched out his palm. Snapped. A crisp high five sounded, and Naruto was in high spirits. When I come back, I will definitely surpass you. Not necessarily. Definitely. Naruto shouted, smiled and waved goodbye to Ryuya, then followed Jiraiya and left Konoha. It's time. Looking at Naruto on the journey, Ryu also took a deep breath and walked to the residence of the third Hokage. No matter how much low-level ninjutsu you practice, it is impossible to defeat Madara Uchiha, and it is impossible to defeat Kagaya Otsutsuki. Long has also made a decision to take the time to practice a high-level ninjutsu with all his strength. Like Naruto's spiral pill, it becomes his real powerful weapon. As for which ninjutsu to practice, Long has also thought about it. When Naruto stole the Book of Seals, Long also recorded 2 ninjutsu skills from it, one of which was just right. 0372 years later. 2 years later. Open black lens bracket Takagi Ryuya close black lens bracket. Rank, Chunin. Organs, ear, brain, heart. Skill. Millennium Kill Strengthen plus 86,400 E-level physical skills. Substitute Jutsu Strengthen plus 86400 E-class ninjutsu. Draw Sword and Strengthen plus 86400 E-level physical art. Toad Oil Bomb Enhancement plus 86400 C-class ninjutsu. Konoha Whirlwind Strengthen plus 86400 C-level ninjutsu. Clone Jutsu Strengthen plus 86400 E-class ninjutsu. Seal of the Four Signs Strengthening plus 86400 S-level ninjutsu. 2 years ago, Ryu also found Sarutobi Hizen, and proposed the idea of practicing a high-level ninjutsu with all his strength, which was approved by Hizen. After Tsunade came to power, Nijin had already taken a back seat. As a teacher, he expressed that he would do his best to help Longya practice. And the ninjutsu that the dragon also needs to practice is called the Seal of the Four Elephants. As a branch of ninjutsu, sealing jutsu is extremely complex and difficult to cultivate while it is self-contained. What's more, the Seal of the Four Elephants is still S rank. While amazed at Long Yi's determination, Rizhin couldn't help but wonder, Long Yi is a Chunin, where did he get his S rank ninjutsu? There is no need to hide, Long also admitted that he memorized 2 ninjutsu from the Book of Seals. As expected, Rizan smiled and did not pursue it. With the relationship between the senior and the younger brother, Tsunade first temporarily cancelled all of Longya's tasks. Then under the guidance of Rigian, Long also began to fully cultivate the Seal of the Four Elephants. After 60 days, get another chance to strengthen. Every 6 times contains a gold enhancement, and Long Yi, who has only 1 clone skill left, chooses the gold enhancement to strengthen his brain. The brain is responsible for processing information and storing memories. Although it is only an organ, it is extremely complex. After 86,400 enhancements, all aspects of the brain's functions have been terribly increased. But how strong it is, the dragon is also not clear. Because of the function of the brain, it is really impossible to show some clear numerical values. Can only give an example, such as 178,209 times 837, the dragon can also get in an instant. In fact, not to mention simple addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, even if there are various complex and huge operations, dragons are no problem, it just takes a little time. For another example, a few rice balls were placed on the dining table one morning a few months ago, and the dragon could remember it clearly, just like the information stored on the computer hard drive. As for the ability of thinking and analysis, it has also improved, but it is not so intuitive. In addition, in the process of strengthening the brain, in addition to the enhancement of basic functions, it also derives an ability, which the dragon also calls illusionary solitaire. That is, in any illusion, the dragon can also turn against the guest, dominate the illusion, and even kill the caster. Excellent. After getting this ability, Long couldn't help but be excited. With his current skill configuration, the most feared thing is illusion. That's why, when Xiaonan entered the village and mistakenly thought it was Itachi, he was so nervous. But now, with this ability, illusion will no longer be his death point. On the contrary, all those who dare to use illusion in front of him will suffer the consequences. And according to the enhanced ability of the brain, the dragon also named it Super Brain. After strengthening the brain, another 60 days passed, and the dragon also got an infinite opportunity to strengthen again. The golden enhancement has been used, and he has no choice but to strengthen the clone technique. As an E-level clone technique, it is not a shadow clone, and even after 86,400 enhancements, it still cannot become an entity. But its realism has reached its limit. Even the white eyes of the Hyuga family can see the flow of chakra, but they can't see the clone of Longya. Secondly, the geometric increase in the number of clones is also better than the multiple shadow clone technique. The most important thing is that all the experiences of the avatar will be fed back to the main body after the avatar disappears. At this point, it is almost the same as the shadow clone. In this way, in addition to being used for investigation, Dragon can follow Naruto and divide up a large number of clones to help him cultivate the seal of the four elephants together. At the same time, the training speed has been greatly increased, and Long can't help but feel annoyed. He knew this and strengthened the clone technique from the beginning. Of course, when a large number of clones practice together, in addition to experience feedback, there is also fatigue, and hundreds of thousands of times of fatigue hit together. If it wasn't for the strong support of an idea, the dragon would never continue to use the clone technique to cultivate success. With tenacious willpower and the correction of the meridians by Sarutobi's secret medicine, the S-rank seal of the four elephants, even if some geniuses, need several years to cultivate, and the dragon only took less than 2 years. In addition, since all the time is used to cultivate the seal of the four elephants, the dragon has no other skills. Whenever it is time to strengthen, you can only give up. After giving up 4 times in this way, Longyi finally got another chance to strengthen his gold. And this time, he chose the heart. First of all, as the root of vitality, after 86,400 times of strengthening, the vitality of the heart is almost infinitely improved. Even if it is pierced, even if it is burned clean, as long as there is one cell in the blood, it can be remodeled and regenerated. In this way, for Longyi, the heart is no longer the door to death. Secondly, the blood supply capacity has been greatly improved. For example, if it used to be a small motor, it is now a large nuclear power plant. With the improvement of blood supply capacity, Longyi's overall physical function has been greatly improved accordingly. The most important thing is that the manufacture of chakra comes from the cells of the body and the spirit of the soul. Now that the blood supply capacity of the heart has improved, the number of chakras derived from cells has surged directly. According to the 3rd generation, the amount of chakra in Longyi's body has reached an extremely terrifying level, comparable to a tailed beast. The amount of chakra is large, that is to say, the dragon will release ninjutsu in the future, so there is no need to worry about the problem of mana consumption. Based on this feature, the dragon also named it the heart of the tailed beast. After the gold enhancement was used up 3 times in a row, because there was no skill, the dragon had to give up the opportunity to strengthen. Until the 4th time, the dragon has also become the seal of the 4 elephants. The seal of 4 signs, using the 4 signs cycle theory, seals powerful enemies, even the forbidden arts of demons. At the same time, the 4-image seal is also the basis of many sealing techniques, such as the 8 trigrams seal, the Li 4-image seal, and the dead ghost seal. Seal everything. After the system was strengthened 86,400 times, the seal of the 4 elephants became stronger. Whether it is a tangible person or thing, or an invisible flame, chakra, or even air, it can be sealed. Moreover, the seal has an absolute attribute, which cannot be destroyed by any external force. In addition, the method of performing the surgery is also more varied. The first is to perform surgery with the hands. The dragon also represents yin and yang with both hands, and yin and yang are derived from the 4 images. The second is to seal with a scroll. Write the sealing technique on the scroll in advance, and directly shake the scroll when using it, and the thing wrapped by the technique in the scroll can be sealed. Finally, there is the seal of the spell. It is not limited to the scroll, and the spell is depicted anywhere and sealed. The advantage of this is that there is no limit to the size of the space. As long as the spell is large enough to cover the entire world can be sealed. But the disadvantage is that the larger the seal, the more chakra and time-consuming it will be to activate. If you really want to seal the world, in addition to covering the world with such a large spell, it will probably take Long Yi a lifetime to activate this seal. But no matter how you say it, as an S-rank ninjutsu, the 4 seals that have been strengthened 86,400 times are simply terrifying. Otsutsuki. With this technique, the dragon is also confident that even if the 4th ninja war breaks out, even if he faces Kagaya Otsutsuki, the ancestor of chakra, he can still fight against it. 038 New Chunin Exam. Senior sister and mother-in-law, it's been so long, you still hold grudges. Don't call me mother-in-law. Okay. In Hokage's office, Long also touched the large bags stacked on his forehead, and tears of pain almost fell. It's really comfortable. In contrast, Tsunade has not been so happy to ravage Ryuya for a long time, but Tsunade is so comfortable that he is more comfortable than soaking in a hot spring. He moved his shoulders and said with a smile. I called you here today for something else. What? I heard from Tsurubi-sensei, your cultivation has been completed. Then don't hurry up and contribute to the village. Tsunade slapped the table, and the roar almost shattered the glass of the office. Do you know how long you haven't been on a mission? Are you my dear senior sister or Huang Shiren? What Huang Shiren? An exploiter hated by civilians. My dear little junior brother, how can you say that about your dear senior sister? Tsunade narrowed his eyes and said with a smile. After all, you haven't given a mission for almost 2 years, so this time, I have arranged a very simple mission for you. Okay. Long also nodded. He also wanted to test the results of his cultivation, and then asked a question. What level? There is no rank. Tsunade smiled sinisterly, and then told Long Ya the details of the mission. It has been 2 years since the last Chunin exam. During these 2 years, the village has been recuperating and recovering. So Tsunade decided to hold the Chunin exam again this year. It was originally a joint examination of the 5 countries, but unfortunately, Yenian Village, Leian Village, and Wuyin Village refused to take the exam for various reasons. So in the end, only Konoha, Cheyenne, and some other small villages participated. The exam is divided into 2, the first competition, held in Konoha. The second trial of survival, due to the strong request of the new Kazekage Gaara, was held in Sandian. The task for Ryuya this time is to lead the team of Konoha candidates in Cheyenne together with the other 2 Chunin. It's really an easy task. After listening to this, Long couldn't help but sigh. Yes, being able to go to Cheyenne Village is a mission. It's clearly a public-funded tour. Tsunade nodded vigorously, looking at Long Yi with a smile on his face. Long also secretly pouted. This old woman is very bad. I believe you a ghost. Gaara has just taken over the role of Fengyiang, and his position is not stable, and because of the identity of others, there are many opposition forces lurking below. At this time, Cheyenne Village can be described as a turbulent undercurrent. Moreover, Gaara insisted on using Sandian Village as the main arena. In fact, he took this opportunity to make his first public appearance as Fengyiang to find out the following opponents. Therefore, Sandian during the Chunin exam is likely to break out into a big rebellion, which is simply dangerous. In addition to Long Yi, there are only 2 other Chunin leading the team. In this case, it is necessary to protect a group of genin. The difficulty of this task is no less than A level. Can you not go? Can't. Tsunade rolled his eyes and added another sentence. And must leave now, because the others have already left. ... Long was also speechless, and the urging of his life did not make people gasp for breath. Who let people be Hokage? A man can bend and stretch. Immediately after leaving the Hokage office, Long also packed up and left immediately. This Chunin exam, the first written exam, is in Konoha. The examiner is Shikamaru, who has been promoted to Chunin, and the exam is now over. But before the candidates were happy, a new test came again. Due to Neji's drive, the number of people who passed the first round was too large, so before the second round began, one more batch had to be eliminated. First of all, because it is a team exam, there is no guarantee that a complete team of 3 people will be eliminated on the spot. Then, from Konoha to Sandian, in the order of arrival, the last 30 people are eliminated, and private fights are not allowed on the way. How did you get here? When the dragon also arrived at the exam venue, those shaman had already set off. Only Shikamaru and Tamari were left as examiners. Looking at Ryuya, who was late, Shikamaru said with a smile. However, with the strength of your feet, you should be able to reach Sandian ahead of them. Is it their exam or my exam? Long also sighed helplessly, and then asked a question. Who are the other 2 leading chunin? Steel Iron, Shenyu Izumo. They. Long also nodded. Although they were only chunin, they were really very reliable 2 people who were usually responsible for guarding the Konoha portal. As for why, it was not Akai, Asma, and Hong who were named Shangnan in the original book, but instead they were the 3 chunin who led the team, and Long was too lazy to think about it. After all, after so long, many things have already deviated from the original plot. Those little ghosts had already set off, and the dragon could not delay any longer, and immediately chased after them. But speaking of which, many of the genin who participated in this exam were from the same period as Long Yi, and there were even a 3rd class who was a year higher than him, so it seemed inappropriate to call them brats. This guy is so much better looking. Looking at the back of Ryuya dashing away, Shikamaru said with a smile. After all, 2 years have passed, and the little ghost who just graduated from the ninja school is now a vigorous boy of 15 or 16. What did he carry? In contrast, Tamari was more concerned about the huge scroll behind Ryuya. It's not like a psychic contract scroll. Could it be that in the past 2 years, he has practiced space ninjutsu similar to Tiantian, summoning ninja gear to fight? What surprises will you bring us? Thinking of this, Tamari couldn't help smiling, and he couldn't help but look forward to Long Yi's next performance. What surprise? Shikamaru asked a question next to him, and then without waiting for Tamari to answer, he said with a smile. Before returning to Cheyenne, would you like to try Konoha's refreshments? Okay, I'll treat you. How can you let a woman spend money, and you're a guest after all? Are you looking down on women? Don't you forget that I was chasing Yin-Ren, but this woman saved your life. Okay. Catch up. While Shikamaru and Tamari were enjoying the couple's set meal, Ryu also caught up with the candidates, but instead of directly overtaking them, he slowed down, concentrated, and covered everyone with radar ears. This time, the candidates were mainly from the 2 major villages of Cheyenne and Konoha, but there were also many other small ninja villages who were invited or asked to participate. And some of the villages made Long also pay special attention, such as Taki Ninja Village, such as Yu Nin Village. 0397 Tails Pillar Force. 3 days later, after running all the way, the candidates arrived at Sandian. And the last 30 people, according to the examination rules, were eliminated directly. In the evening, the restaurant has prepared dinner, which is regarded as a wind and dust. Ninjas from different villages gathered together, and as candidates, they were all opponents, and the atmosphere was tense for a while. Boom! At this moment, the door of the restaurant was suddenly pushed open, and the dragon who had just arrived at Cheyenne also walked in. I'm starving. Unexpectedly, on the road for 3 days, the dry food that I brought with me has been eaten early, and I haven't eaten all day today. Looking at the sumptuous meal, Long also smiled, took a meal and found a place to sit down. Who is he? Konoha ninja. Seeing Long Yi's forehead guard, everyone couldn't help but wonder for a while. Where did this Konoha ninja come from? Why didn't I see it during the test before? Could it be that the Chunin test can also cut the queue? Dragon 2. At this time, Neji and the Konoha ninjas, seeing that it turned out to be Long Yi, couldn't help but look surprised, and then came over. How are you? Why can't it be me? Long also smiled and greeted everyone. In addition to Neji and the others from Class 3, Hinata from Class 8, Ino, Dingji and Sakura from Class 10 also temporarily formed a team. It's a pity that I didn't see Tomojiu and Coriander. I don't know if it was because of the lack of Longyu that they couldn't form a team, or they were eliminated in the first round of exams. Like Shikamaru, you are already a Chunin, why are you still here? It seems that it has been a long time since Ryuya was seen. After a while of joy, Ino asked. Chunin. The ninjas in other villages were startled. This kid who looked about the same age as them was actually a Chunin. Don't you know that? Long also took a mouthful of rice, swallowed it, and said with a smile. I'm one of the leaders sent by the village. By the way, what about Zitai and Izumo? Didn't they come to dinner? Leader. The other village ninjas were full of surprises again. This kid is not only Chunin, but also the leader of Konoha. Hey, the leader actually arrived later than us. It seems that Konoha is really not as good as before, and this kind of strength can also be endured. If he took this exam, he's already been eliminated. Immediately afterwards, the other ninjas talked a lot, and their tone was full of disdain. What did you say? Hearing this, Ino was instantly furious and shouted at the others. You frogs at the bottom of the well, haven't you even heard of the name, Dragon? Dragon Yi, the substitute, turned out to be a substitute. No wonder he was able to pass the exam and become a Chunin. Ha ha. I don't know who made a joke, and then there was a burst of laughter. Damn. Unforgivable. They even openly laughed at Konoha's hero. Not only Ino, but even the calm Neji couldn't hold back their anger. Let you taste the power of Konoha ninja. At this time, with a loud shout, Fang had already rushed up, and punched the person who was teasing him just now. Who is afraid of whom? Konoha fired the first shot, and the others couldn't wait and rushed up immediately. Seeing this, it was only Neji and the others who were one step behind Ya, so there was nothing to hesitate. Immediately afterwards, the originally good dinner party instantly turned into a big melee. Quote. Seeing this scene, Long also blinked. In the original book, they did fight at the dinner party. After all, putting them together was like two male lions in a cage. It would be strange if they didn't fight. But Long also never imagined that this fight was actually because of him. Forget it. Let's fight, he doesn't bother to care, and continues to eat. Along the way, in order to snoop on the information, he was tired enough. Boom. Seeing that the fighting was getting more and more intense, and it was about to be upgraded to the stage of ninjutsu, suddenly a loud noise came, and everyone couldn't help being stunned. It was as if a wall had been broken. Boom. Immediately afterwards, there was another muffled sound. A green-haired girl broke the glass from the outside and jumped in directly, shouting cheerfully after her appearance. The party has started. Guys, can you make 100 friends? Who are you? I'm Fu from Taki Ninja Village. I took the Chunin exam this time to make 100 friends. Everyone, what are you doing after dinner? Playing poker. Playing double six. Quote. What do you want to do? Looking at Fu, who was naturally a little nervous, the people who were still angry just now, like taking a cold bath, felt dull in an instant, and then left the restaurant one after another. Hey, wait. Only Fu stood there with a blank expression on her face. Long Yi quickly finished his meal, and followed the crowd away, glanced at Wang Fu in the cold field, and couldn't help but smile. As the Nanao Renzuli, he really has a personality. According to the tracking and snooping along the way, the information is basically similar to the original plot. In this exam, apart from Cheyenne Village who practiced the breathing method for 7 days and whose physical skills did not lose to Shaoli, and Yurin Village, whose name was the exam, but was actually a spy for information, there was only Nanao Renju from Taki Ninja Village. Laifu, need extra attention. The information has been collected almost, and Long is also a little tired, so he simply went back to rest. Boom. Just as Long Yi was about to lie down, he heard a loud noise outside. It should be Dingji and the others who went outside in search of food, but they encountered a desert specialty, a huge truck-like scorpion. However, according to the plot of the original novel, Fu should have rescued them without the need for dragons, and then lay down and prepared to sleep. Boom, boom. Let's go and see. But after a while, the sound didn't stop, and Long was still a little worried, and turned over and got up from the bed. Who is she? Such a monster was easily subdued by her. But there seems to be something wrong with my brain. When the dragon arrived, as expected in the original book, Fu had already killed the scorpion and rescued Dingji and the others. But looking at Fu who was dancing around the corpse of the giant scorpion, everyone in the audience was speechless. He's here. That Konoha's Chunin. I'm still leading the team, it's coming so slowly. You don't understand this, it's better to come slowly. It makes sense. If it came too soon, it would be too embarrassing for his ability. It's no wonder that being able to become a Chunin has a brain that is smarter than those of us. At this time, when I saw Long Yi who was late, and the ninjas from other villages, there was another burst of cynicism. Many people are full of jealousy towards Ryuya, who is the same age but is already a Chunin and even the leader of the team. In order to balance his poor self-esteem, he subjectively believed that Long Yi's Chunin actually had a false name. In this regard, the dragon did not speak. Since the problem has been resolved, go back to sleep. 040 Devil Wind. The content of this Chunin exam is basically the same as last time. Because of Gaara's strong request, and also because of Konoha's Forest of Death, candidates are already familiar with it, so the place for the second survival trial was changed to the Devil's Desert in Sandian Village. The Devil's Desert, a dangerous area outside Sandian Village, where quicksand, ruins, monsters, and those who are in it, may die at any time. What's more, there are multiple teams from different ninja villages robbing each other for scrolls. Overall, the content of this exam is similar to last time, but more dangerous. Because the desert environment is far more cruel than the jungle. The exam begins. The next morning, the time has come. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Following the examiner's order, each team jumped off the city wall from different directions, entered the Demon Desert, and officially began the second round of the exam. Oh, it's finally easy. The second exam was limited to 3 days. As soon as the students left, Long Yi, the team leader, was fine. Long also took out playing cards from his pocket and greeted Gang Ziti and Shenyu Izumo. Come on, fight the landlord. Is it still 102 dozen? Yes, double the bomb. Today I must win back what I lost last night. Ah, I'm full of energy. Immediately afterwards, on the city wall of Cheyenne Village, Ryuya, the team leader, and the 3 Konoha ninjas fought against the landlord in a grand manner. Seeing this scene, Sand-Hidden Ninja couldn't help shaking his head secretly. These Konoha ninjas were so lax. Especially that Takagi Ryuya. It is really unimaginable that in the Chunin exam 2 years ago, he was able to beat their current Kazekage Gaara. Trick. It must be some kind of shameless strategy, otherwise, how could it be possible to defeat Lord Fengying just by him? Playing cards with 2 clones, if you win, I don't know if those 2 guys will admit it. Long Yi, who had a good hand in hand, couldn't help but wonder. Just this morning, the 3 of them suddenly received a message from Hokage, asking them to secretly protect Kazekage Gaara. According to the information, there is a rebellious strength within Sandian, who intends to be detrimental to Gaara. And this Chunin exam is also because Gaara intends to dig out these people. As an ally, if Kazekage is killed, it will also have a great impact on Konoha. So Tsunade ordered the 3 of them to protect them secretly. That's the real mission. Long Yi chuckled lightly, saying that he was leading the team for the exam, but he actually helped Gaara. But what puzzled him was that since it was such an important task, why not send the shinobi, but the 3 of them? Could it be because of Ryuya that Tsunade believed in his strength so much? It's useless to think too much. In short, the task is to execute. Since it is secret protection, it must be hidden first. Therefore, Long also asked Zitai and Izumo to create clones and fight him here to confuse the rebels in Cheyenne. As for Long Yi himself, although he seems to be fighting the landlord, in fact, his radar ears have covered the entire Cheyenne village, keeping an eye out for any disturbances. Oops. Due to the need for concentration, the 4 2 belts and 2 pointers were thrown out. Looking at the rest of the bad cards, Long also thought about it. Since he was playing cards with his clone, he could repent if he lost. On the first day, everything was normal and calm. The next day, Long also took 2 clones and continued to play cards. Seeing Sha Ren again shaking his head, playing with things in despair, it really doesn't fit their ninja way. And Zitai and Izumo have once again hid in the dark, paying close attention to Gaara. If there are rebels, they will definitely calculate the guarding power of Gaara. Zitai and Izumo, who were not expected by them, could play a decisive role. Chirp tilde chirp tilde. Seeing that the sun was already in the west, a piercing siren suddenly sounded, instantly spreading throughout the entire Cheyenne village. What's the situation? Sandstorm. Long also froze slightly, and then learned through monitoring that there was a sandstorm coming. In the original book, Cheyenne's rebel, Fui, interfered with the weather forecast through the barrier, so that the village did not get the news of the sandstorm in time. Because the sandstorm was too dangerous and the time was too urgent, Gaara personally went to the Demon Desert to rescue Jinan, who was taking the exam. And this is the purpose of Fui. He has secretly contacted Fae, who can capture the power of the tailed beast, and asked him to ambush and sneak attack on Gaara in the Demon Desert. That's not right. But at this time, the detection was not disturbed, and Sandian did not delay the news. That being the case, it is necessary to organize people to rescue immediately, so why be so nervous? Iron Sand, Devil Wind. Continuing to monitor, Long Yi was stunned for a moment, and then his face changed drastically. This sandstorm is not ordinary sand, but a devil wind that contains a lot of iron. Strong winds as high as 20, wrapped iron stones the size of fists and even watermelons, whizzing along the ground. Not to mention people, even the solid city wall will be destroyed in an instant. Sandian village is located in the desert with a harsh geographical environment. But this kind of devil wind, especially this scale and intensity, is also rare in 10 years. Therefore, when the devil wind was detected, Cheyenne immediately sounded the alarm, and the whole village entered a state of emergency alert. Quick, quick, quick. Under the guidance of the ninja, all civilians immediately moved to the underground for refuge. This way, hurry up and be seated. In addition, a large number of ninjas came to the edge of the village, facing the direction where the devil wind was coming, standing in a row with a firm expression. People can take refuge underground, but as for houses, if the devil wind is allowed to rage, Cheyenne village will be razed to the ground. Therefore, recruit a large number of ninjas, and when the devil wind arrives, join forces to cast a barrier to protect the village. What about the Genin people outside? This time the devil wind level is too high. With our manpower, it is already very difficult to protect the village. You mean give up the Genin in the exam? Absolutely not. But we have no other way. Lord Fengying, please focus on the overall situation. ... At this time, in Fengying's office, there was a fierce quarrel between Gaara and Sandian. Even as a shadow, you can't go your own way. So in the end, Gaara was asked to sit in the village. As for the candidates outside, they can only be left to fend for themselves. Something. In the Demon Desert, candidates from various villages are doing their best to take the exam. Neji, who had white eyes, suddenly saw something strange in the distance. What is this? When he concentrated his eyesight and saw the fast-attacking devil wind, Neji's complexion changed drastically in an instant. What happened? What movement? There are also a lot of perceptual ninjas in other teams, and they also found something strange for a while. Yes, devil wind. And when the siren from Cheyenne village came, those Sharon's expressions changed drastically, and they all slumped on the ground.